Okay, guys, how we doing? Welcome. This is going to be the album ranking. I'm finally getting around to doing this. It is currently 5:30 in the morning on a lovely Saturday, and I thought, I woke up really early, so what better day and what better time than right now to rank these albums? And honestly, I feel like I'm gonna be able to knock it out all in just one take. If not, obviously you'll see me like change and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure I can get through all of them. Um, we have 35 albums to go through. It's a lot of albums, but 35 of them. Um, and yeah, so let's just get started. First of all, let's just show you the situation. All right, so here's what we got. This is what we're dealing with. We have 35 albums. These are all in order from uh, the first person that recommended to the last person that recommended, although I believe this is supposed to be over here. Um, and this is the scale that we're doing. I know it's a little bit of a weird scale, but this is just kind of how it ended up being. If you can't tell by the scale, I was a very big fan of most of these albums. I thought they were all very, very good for the most part. So, starting from the bottom, which would be like your F tier, going up to your top, which is like your S tier. Disliked is like a ranking from like 0 to 4, and I have my phone here in my notes app. I took notes on all these albums and my initial thoughts and my final thoughts and everything. So I'll tell you all my thoughts um, about the records, about the projects, and then I'll give you what my ranking was, and based on that, we can go ahead and put it in here somewhere or whatever, right? So we'll go in order from how they were recommended to me. Um, and I'm going to read off this a little bit, but I'm also going to try to come up with my own thoughts. I would go in the order that I listened to, but I cannot for the life of me remember. I remember the first album I listened to, I think, was this one, Crowded House. And the last one I listened to was this one, Oddfellows Rest, but I cannot remember the middle at all, like any of the order. So, anyway, real quick before we get started, um, dislike 0 to 4, not for me. 4 to 5.5. I did go to decimals with some of these albums, just so I could kind of determine which I liked better over some others. A decent would be a 6 to a 7, so like a 6, a 6.5, a 6.75. I don't think I did that. Maybe I did it once. I'm not sure. Liked 7 to 9, and then really, really liked is saved for 9.5 to 10. Um, just so you know, disliked and really liked are probably only going to have 1 or 2 records each, if that. So I saved those for like ones that I really didn't like and ones that I really did like. All right. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hope you guys enjoy this video. This took a lot of effort. This took a long, long time to do. 35 albums for me, just with how busy I've been. Not easy to get through. But enough of that. Let's get through it. So, the first record, "Waking the Fallen" by A7X or Avenged Sevenfold. I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I mean, when I saw that this was recommended to me, I wasn't surprised. Me personally, I'm a big fan of metal. I have been for a few years now, and I've been trying to be very expansive and getting into different categories of metal. Obviously, I started with like thrash metal, which I feel like is very obvious and very basic, as most people do. And then recently, I've gotten more into other branches of metal. I mean, I did like a whole new metal thing for a few weeks, just because I mean it's pretty accessible. I'm trying to get more into death metal these days. And then there's some other categories of metal that are maybe not as popular or as well recognized, especially by a more common group of people, I guess. Uh, I don't know, like there's this one band I really like called Electric Wizard, and they do like doom metal or whatever, and it's really, really heavy, and it's really, really good. I love it. There's an album called Dope Throne, which I was thinking about doing a recommendations thing, so maybe I'll edit that after this and add that in. I'll maybe do like a recommendations list of albums that I would recommend to you guys since you gave me all of these. But Avenged Sevenfold was one of those really popular metal bands that I personally just never really tried or got into, but I kind of knew they were there. And that's mainly because I have always stuck with like the 70s, 80s, 90s era of metal, so like kind of older stuff, and I never really got into like the 2000s, which I kind of or 2000s, 2010s, which I kind of broke with the new metal stuff. Um, Obviously, most new metal started in the 90s, but a lot of it there's a lot of new metal in the 2000s, And Avenged Sevenfold is by no means new metal, but for the most part, I really liked this record. I will tell you, let me read off what I wrote down while I was listening. I thought this album was very enjoyable. I think the guitar solos and the screams on this record are some of the best I've heard in more modern mainstream metal, which, to be fair, not saying a lot because I'm not a huge mainstream metal fan when it comes to like modern stuff. Like, I don't know, take your pick. I mean, I know what's it called? Sleep Token's really popular, although I don't really consider them metal, but that's a personal take. That's a personal take. Most of the riffs were ripping, but some of them I found not super exciting. What happens kind of on your this kind of happens on your standard metal record overall. I thought it was mostly tight, but I think I've definitely heard some better records. So yeah, so A7X. I don't think they're really for me. Um, I'm not a big fan of the vocals, and some of the songs were interesting, is the way I'll put them. At least for me. I mean, some of them stand out for sure. Like, let me pull up the record. It's important that I have these on standby, right? Because I need to be able to look at the songs. Like I thought, Unholy Confessions. I loved that song. I thought it was great. I thought Reminiscence, I think is how it's pronounced. I like that song a lot. This is probably a really hot take, but then again, it's these are slow songs, and I do like slow songs. But it was I Won't See You Tonight Part One and Part Two, even though it was faster and more technical, not super enjoyable for me. Um, But overall, I mean, I thought the record was pretty decent. I didn't hate it at all, of course not. I really liked it, and for me, it was really nice to kind of expand my taste to more like 2000s, kind of growing into modern stuff. And I do think I will listen to some of the other Avenged Sevenfold records, which I haven't really done yet. Like, I know their most popular is "Hail to the King," which came out in 2013, I think, which has songs like "Hail to the King" on it. So, or at least that's one of their most popular releases. I think probably their self-titled one in 2007 is probably their most popular, but that's neither here nor there. So overall, Avenged Sevenfold, Awaking the Fallen, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10, and that will be our first one to go into the decent category. And just for the record, I will try to order these like, all right. So for instance, let's just say that Channel Orange is a 7 out of 10. That will go here because that'll go in front of Avenged Sevenfold because this was got a 6.5. It's not a 7 out of 10, as we'll find out very shortly, but that's just so you know. We're gonna try to order it based on the actual rankings. All right, so that was Wake in the Fallen. Next, Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. So this was one of the last ones I listened to, and Channel Orange was something that I had been waiting to get into for a very long time because people, the way they talk about Frank Ocean, they talk about him like he's the Messiah. They talk about him like he's really special. And for me, as someone who's very kind of cut off from his style of music and just more modern, like modern mainstream music in general, it's just this is why I kind of wanted to do this project because I'm not really into the style of music Frank Ocean does, or at least I never thought I would be, or I never tried to be. And it's the same with things, other stuff on this album or on this list, like Tyler and Cardi, both artists that I never really listened to, but both artists that I can appreciate for different reasons. And I'm really glad that they were recommended to me because it's gives me an excuse to actually listen to them for the first time. So also, I'm now realizing that one of these albums is on here twice. So we're just gonna ignore that. I guess there were only 34 albums. My bad. Um, so anyway, Frank Ocean. When I got recommended Channel Orange, I was a little disappointed because I have like I have like at least 5 friends who tell me that Blonde is their favorite record, and for good reason. I haven't listened to it yet, but I have heard some of it. Over the summer, I went to New Jersey, and I had a friend who was driving us in his car. He played Blonde on the way back to the beach house we were staying in, and I remember listening to it and thinking, "This is really good. This is really emotional. This is probably something I should listen to." Now, when I got Channel Orange recommended to me, I was a little disappointed because it wasn't Blonde. But still, I understood that Frank Ocean has been gone for a very long time. He's a 2 album artist, right? And this is the other one, obviously. Um, Now, Channel Orange to me was really, really interesting. Um, I found it to be very emotional. Maybe not as emotionally charged as Blonde, to some people, but I really liked it. Let me give you some of my standouts. Um, First of all, I just kind of really liked the way that it was kind of the start and finish, where it was kind of like a VHS tape or something like that, if I remember correctly. I might get copyrighted if I play any of it, but it was kind of like a VHS tape playing, and then it kind of like slid out of the TV at the end, almost like, you know, a TV channel or a video game station or something. Some of my standouts, I really liked Super Rich Kids featuring Earl Sweatshirt. I really liked Crack Rock. I thought Crack Rock was really good. I really liked Pyramids. Pyramids was, I want to say Pyramids was my favorite song on the record, but I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I listened to Channel Orange, but I really liked it. Um, and overall, it was fantastic. And there was one really cool thing about it. Um, I can't remember which song it was, but he sampled a little speech from the end of one of my favorite movies, which is called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Um, I actually have, you can't really see it, but there's a poster right here on this back wall of the book, which was written by an author named Hunter S. Thompson. And then there's another poster by my bed of Johnny Depp, who plays the main character in the movie, uh, holding his typewriter. It's a really great movie. You should watch it. It's basically what happens when two crazy drug heads or druggies go through Las Vegas in search of the American dream. And at the end of that movie, one of them's getting on a plane, and Johnny Depp has a voiceover, and he says, "There goes one of God's unique creations, too rare to live, or too carefree to live, too rare to die," or something like that. But he sampled that, and I thought that was, oh my God, that's so cool. So that definitely gave it bonus points. Other things I had to say about the album. Um, it's no surprise that Frank Ocean's quite talented, which I pretty readily found out while listening to this record. His voice is almost angelic at times, and his matching with the softer, mellowing beats throughout the album causes this record to transcend what I thought possible personally. Meaning, I didn't really think it was going to be this good to me. I didn't think I would enjoy it this much, but I really did. So thank you for the recommendation. What else did I say? It's a very special album with a lot of love clearly poured into it, and it's definitely a project with a lot of merit behind it. I can see why there are multiple billion streamed songs on this thing. Yeah, when I looked at the stream count, I was like, oh my God, people really love this guy. Oh my gosh. So Channel Orange, thank you very much for the recommendation. I really loved it. Um, so maybe I'm trying to think. Should I make liked 7 to 8.5 and then really like to 9 to 10, because I think we'll do that, because I basically just glazed the hell out of that album for like a really long time. So we'll make this 9, because Channel Orange did get a 9 out of 10 for me, and I really think that giving it anything less would be an injustice. It was really good the whole way through. Very soulful, very, and like I said, his voice was angelic. There's a lot of meaning behind the songs. There felt like a lot of oomph to it. Really great record. If you have not heard it, I would highly recommend. Next, we got Random Access Memories. And Daft Punk, not for everybody for sure, but Daft Punk, very interesting, very techno, very, electronic, as I'm sure you know. Daft Punk is one of the biggest artists in the world, as well, at least I'm sure everyone's heard at least one Daft Punk song, right? So it was a pretty good record. I enjoyed it for the most part. I think some of my standouts were the one's called Giorgio. It was a big meme back in the day, but it was really good. Just like he does like this little speech at the beginning, but then when it transcends into the actual beat and the music, it's like almost hypnotizing in a way. Instant Crush, obviously, really great. One of their most popular songs. Lose Yourself to Dance, featuring Pharrell Williams. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that song. Get Lucky, obviously, same thing. Not my favorite though. Motherboard was pretty good. I mean, obviously, I mean, you can go through the entire record yourself and look at the songs or listen to the songs, but overall, pretty decent record. I have never personally listened to a Daft Punk record in its totality before. Again, on that same trip to New Jersey, when I was driving to New Jersey, I did listen to a lot of Daft Punk because the friend that recommended this album to me wanted to listen to Daft Punk, so we did. And very good. For the most part, I really enjoyed it. And I think Daft Punk has a lot to give, a lot to offer, despite it being a two-man group. Very entertaining, very interesting. And it's stuff like this that I think I need to listen to because it's just not something that I've opened myself up to. Um, like stuff like A7X, I'm used to that. Stuff like Frank Ocean, that was new to me, and I think therefore I enjoyed it more personally. Um, Other things I had to say about this album, um, there's a lot going on here, and it stays mostly mellow with a large amount of incredible features, which I think made up for a lot of the album and made it really, really special. It's really apparent to me as to why Daft Punk are so popular, especially since they established a sound that not many are replicating, or if they are, not to the level that these guys were able to. Overall, I was impressed with this record and really enjoyed the entire thing. A few songs here and there that I wasn't a big fan of, but overall a really fun time, and I would highly recommend. So, again, Daft Punk, I don't think it's really hard to get into Daft Punk. If you're in the mood to like dance, or you're just happy, or you're excited about something, I feel like Daft Punk is a really good band to listen to. Random Access Memories is a really good album to listen to. Um, there's another Daft Punk album that I want to listen to. Um, the name is like on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. It honestly could just be self-titled or something. I'm not actually sure, but there's another one with some popular ones on there that I was supposed to listen to at some point, and I will eventually, probably. But for now, Random Access Memories was really special. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a very good album. I'd highly recommend. I gave it an 8 out of 10, which means I liked it. Not quite on the level of Frank Ocean, but still, I really, really enjoyed it. All right. Now, next is In Transit by, I don't want to butcher the name. I believe they're called the Killans? The Killans? I don't know. Regardless, this was really good. I really, really enjoyed this. Um, I think it was just an EP, though. That's the thing. It was very, very short. Very, very short. Let me pull it up on my phone so I can tell you more about how I thought. Yeah, it was just an EP. Came out in 2025. It's only 6 songs, 21 minutes, but it was really, really good. Um, Abstract Liquid, I loved that song. I believe, I think, I think it was Crawl was the other one that I was really, really a big fan of. I think Why Is the Light Out was probably my other big standout, and then there was another one called Mr. Smith. Probably my least favorite song on the record, but still a really, really good song. I mean, it's 6 songs. When you have an EP, it's 6 songs, and none of them are bad. It's hard to like dog on the record at all. I mean, it's very short but very sweet, and it's got a lot going for it. Now the Killins, a bit of a change of pace from the rest of these. Whereas A7X is metal, Daft Punk is more electro pop, maybe not electro pop, but electric. Very funky, EDM style, and then Channel Orange with Frank Ocean, very mellow, soulful. Not exactly soul music, but very soulful um, and impactful. Hits you right in the heart. This was very soft, rocky, almost like indie rock. And I'm not a huge fan of indie rock, I don't think, but this kind of changed my perspective on it. It was very soft and very mellow, very, very good, and it has a lot going for it. Again, not a ton of material, but really, really special. I actually probably will listen to some of their other work just because of how good this record was. And let me tell you more about what I had to say. I really don't know how to describe this for you guys, but it really hits. It's like the perfect blend of sad yet also hopeful, and then all of a sudden a killer guitar solo shows up. That's true. There was a lot of guitar work on this thing that were really, really special, at least to me, and I really enjoyed it. It's an EP, so it's not super long, but in 22 minutes, this band created a softer sound that I thoroughly enjoyed. The vocals aren't abrasive or too light either. It's a perfect addition to the backing instruments. Overall, fantastic EP. So yeah, I mean, the Killins, I've personally had never heard of before I got them recommended to me. I would highly recommend this EP to anyone. Um, it's a softer rock sound. I don't feel like it's really too hard to get into. It's very accessible, I guess is a better term for it. So if you're looking for something like that, or you're into a softer kind of sound, and you just want to listen to some rock music, but maybe not something as hard as like I don't know, like 80s hair rock. Like I don't know, it's different for everybody. But this EP In Transit, very very good. I ended up giving it a 9 out of 10. But here's the question: do I like it better than Channel Orange? Oh God, I really liked it, but better than Channel Orange, I don't think so. I think I'm gonna put it right here for now. Um, Next, we've got Igor by Tyler the Creator. Um, where did I put Igor? There it is. All right, so Igor. Um, there's a lot to say about Igor that I'm sure all of you already know. I mean, Tyler the Creator, very popular artist, very talented artist. Um, and I am not unfamiliar with Tyler the Creator. One of my best friends, he's a huge Tyler fan, right? And I remember I bought him a Flower Boy vinyl to replace his old Flower Boy vinyl for his birthday one year. And he was like, "Oh, sweet! Now I have like all of them." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'm not unfamiliar with Tyler. I know he's got a bunch of records. He's got Goblin and Bastard, and then I think Cherry Bomb, and then after that you've got Flower Boy. Oh, I'm missing something. Wolf. I'm missing Wolf, and then Flower Boy, I think, and then Igor, and then Call Me If You Get Lost, and then there was the new one, which is Chromacopia. I'm sure I'm missing some album. I don't know. I'm not a Tyler fan personally, but this is my first experience actually getting to listen to Tyler the Creator. Now, personally, I think Tyler's hilarious. I mean, I've seen him in a few movies, a few shows. Just in general, he seems like a very goofy person, and I think that makes his energy a lot easier to kind of resonate with. He's a very fun guy. Um, as for the album, some of my standouts. I mean, Earthquake, really good. It's like, I'm pretty sure the standout song from this record. Um, I think I Don't Love You Anymore, and then the transition into Are We Still Friends was probably my favorite part of the record. I'm pretty sure that was the end of the record. And honestly, I was walking out of my class after taking an exam listening to that, and I thought, this is really good. And someone out here really needs to hear this right now. Um, New Magic Wand was fun. Um, What's Good, Puppet. I mean, there's a lot of good songs on this record. Overall, I enjoyed it. And this was my first real experience with Tyler and his style of rap. Um, which again, I'm not a huge fan of rap, and if I do listen to rap, it's mostly like old school hip hop kind of style, 80s. I also do listen to some 90s stuff, and I haven't really opened myself up to like 2010s, 2020s rap because personally, I just don't think I would enjoy most of it. Um, but Tyler kind of shut that opinion out and showed me that there is some stuff out there that I would probably really like. So let me pull up my notes page and tell you exactly what I thought. Um, okay, I said honestly, probably my favorite album out of all the records I've listened to so far in this project. Okay, to be fair, that was before these top two. All right. I love how diverse every single is. I also love how instrumentally entrancing they are in their own specific ways. There's not a single song that I didn't like, and the album feels like a very well written story to me. So overall, I mean, it kind of felt like a love story or like a lovesick story or someone who's falling out of love. Obviously, you can kind of tell by some of the titles. Um, and I don't think any two songs sounded the same, which for me is a big deal, and I think that does a lot of justice for this record. Um, I really enjoyed it thoroughly. Thought it was really good. A great introduction. I mean, obviously, if you're going to listen to Tyler, I feel like Igor's a pretty good place to start, just given how popular it is. And I'm not sure if it's his most popular, but I know it was really huge when it came out. So huge that that's kind of how I learned who he was when it came out. And I remember Earthquake was everywhere, and I couldn't I couldn't at that time tell you what the song sounded like, but when I heard it on the album, I was like, oh, this is Tyler. And so yeah, he's a great artist. I might listen to some more of his stuff. Again, not exactly my thing, but it was something I really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to listening to more of it. I gave Igor 8.5 out of 10, which puts it just above Random Access Memories, which I believe I gave an 8 out of 10. So this is where we stand right now. Okay, this next one's a huge one. I don't think you understand. I have been berated constantly for years, like, you gotta listen to Cardi, you gotta listen to Die Lit, it's probably, if you like Cardi, it would probably be that album. Uh, so Playboy Cardi, obviously, really, really, really popular musician, really, really popular artist in the, what are they called? I don't even know. The Opium Group, right? You got him and with the Homicide Gang and what's the other big one? I forgot his name. But they're an interesting bunch. um, and they certainly, for me, this is just something I never thought I would explore. The use of beats and the background instrumentals for me, I wouldn't say are too intense, but there's just so much going on that it's almost really easy to get lost. And I think a lot of it also it doesn't really help that Cardi's vocals are just so absurd that you can hardly understand what he's saying half the time. I mean, I think all right, for context, I have heard some of Whole Lotta Red because one of my friends, the person who recommended this album to me, is a huge Cardi fan. And when I heard that, I was like, "What?" And then I even remember I stayed up with him the night that I Am Music came out just to be like, all right, is he actually going to drop the album? Because he has a huge problem with not releasing records on time, right? He dropped it, and I remember hitting play to listen to Pop Out, which is the first song on that record. And I remember thinking, this just sounds like construction noise. Like, this is just not good. That's what I thought, right? So that same friend told me, listen to Die Lit. This is a lot more accessible if you're going to listen to Cardi at all. So please listen to Die Lit. So I did. And I'll be honest, there were moments when I was like, I can't wait till this is over. There were moments where I was like, this is really surprising. I didn't think I would like this. Um, and I didn't write down my standouts, but I did have some songs in here that I really did like. Well, I'm not gonna lie, which I was surprised with. I didn't think I would enjoy it very much, but honestly, this run here, Love Hurts, Shoota, Right Now, and Poke It Out. I mean, mostly I remember the features because obviously Travis Scott, Uzi, Pierre, and Nicki Minaj are all very. You can kind of tell when all four of those individuals are involved. Voice crack involved in a song. Um, Flatbed Freestyle, I remember being a song that I enjoyed. uh, those were some of my standouts. I know there's more that I enjoyed on this record. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it, which I'm surprised. I thought I was gonna hate it. But yeah, for the most part, it surprised me. Obviously, Cardi's a very influential artist when it comes to his style, when it comes to the opium style, right? And I don't exactly know what you call his music, but there's a lot of crazy beat drops. I don't know if it's like trap or like it's definitely not drill. No, it's not drill because I know about drill. When I think of drill, I think of like Chief Keef, right? But this is a project that I was not expecting to like whatsoever, but it definitely surprised me with a lot of the songs, and I think not how complex it was, but how honestly not super in depth it was. That's not the right terminology, sorry, but I think the ability on this record to understand what Cardi has to say and to understand what the song's about and to understand the messaging rather than just hear random noises, I think does a lot for me. And I think that's kind of why I really enjoyed this record compared to other stuff that I've heard from Cardi. Excuse me. To sneeze. Um, but overall, I mean, I enjoyed some of it. I mean, long time, the intro. I mean, I've heard that a million times. I think. Giving more of my thoughts on this album. Where do I begin with Cardi? I was really not looking forward to this one, as I've heard some of more of his recent work and found it to definitely not be my thing. However, it must have set a really easy precedent to pass up, as I found Dialect to be a large improvement. Lyrically, I didn't find it super impressive, mainly because Cardi's vocals are hard to follow for me, but I definitely enjoyed the beats, melodies, and features throughout the record. Again, not really for me, but I can see why this shot Cardi into stardom. So, I gave Dialect a 5 out of 10. Um, so it's going to go in the not for me category. Again, a 5 out of 10 is not like, all right, you know what? I'm going to reorder this too. I'm going to make this, I don't want this to be like too mean, so we'll do this. Um, so I gave it a 5 out of 10, and honestly, I feel like that's kind of generous. Not because I didn't like it, but just like I feel like Cardi's just not an artist I can personally really enjoy. If I'm gonna listen to Cardi though, it probably would be Die Lit. There are some songs in here that I definitely did enjoy, but I'd say I enjoyed about half of them, and the other half of them I completely like could easily disregard because I just didn't think it really worked for me. Obviously, I think Cardi's maybe a little bit controversial. I know a lot of people that love Cardi, and the people that don't love Cardi hate Cardi. So it's like it's a love hate kind of deal with Cardi. Um, I mean, ultimately, it's up to your opinion. Listen to Die Lit. Let me know what you think. Again, modern rap is not something I'm super into. Just like the different subgenres for me, a lot of them are just really, really difficult. I think especially because you're not starting with the basics, it can be really difficult to kind of just go into it. So kind of jumping into Cardi, I think, is a little bit unfair. Maybe if I listened to something else first, it would help me enjoy this a little bit better. Maybe it would help me understand his vocals better. But overall, if I gave this a 5 out of 10, I'm sure on like repeated listens, I'd probably like it better and better. So overall, Dial decent record, but it's definitely not for me. Um, Definitely for more other people. All right, next we have B by Common. This was really just to me felt like a complete like I don't know how to describe it. This felt like a hidden gem to me because I knew about Common. I had heard of Common before, but Common was not somebody I was really familiar with. I know Common has kind of a relationship with Kanye West a little bit, and they both were involved in some of their work. I'm pretty sure Kanye produced some of Common stuff, or maybe the other way around. Um, and for instance, on this record, he has a song called "They Say" featuring Kanye and featuring John Legend, which was one of the better songs in the album. "Testify," I really liked "Testify." "Faithful," good song. Um, "Go," all caps exclamation point. That was a phenomenal song. It was really just like full of energy and kind of just I don't know. The beats were just really fun. Overall, this felt like I don't want to say a hidden gem because I'm sure Common like in the early 2000s was like a really really big artist, but Common was not somebody I was super familiar with, and it just I really enjoyed this, and I think because of that, it helped me enjoy it even more. And I like his style. I really like the beats on this. I really like the tempo and the melodies in a lot of these songs, and I like the messaging. This is a lot. A lot of this is rooted in um, love for like others and his faith, um, and just being yourself. And I think that's very, very valuable. Combined with some influence from early 2000s Kanye, I think makes for a really good record. Obviously, Kanye West is a very polarizing figure, we'll say. Um, but yeah, I mean, this was a fun record. I don't have too much to say about it, so I'll just read what I wrote here. This kind of feels like a Kanye record to me, but maybe even a little bit better. To be honest, I don't think I've ever heard a song by Common before. It's definitely some high quality hip hop and an artist that should be remembered fondly for a long, long time. The beats were enjoyable, but not super, super complex, but they were incredibly well done. And the melodies were very enjoyable, and I liked the vast instrumentation on a lot of these songs. Overall, most of these songs did a lot for me, and I think it was a very, very well put together record. Now, Be By Common, I'm not singing its praises nearly as much as I felt when I was listening to it. Then again, it has been a while since I listened to this record. But I gave it an 8 out of 10. Better, or is it better than Random Access Memories? I'm gonna go ahead and say no. I think I liked Random Access Memories a little bit better. Um, but overall, this was a decent record. Um, Next, we have the Alan Parsons Project, which uh, I was not super excited to listen to, but I'm glad I did. Let me find where I put this album. Where are you on here? I don't know where it went. Hold on. It should be in here somewhere. Alan Parsons Project. Yeah, Eye in the Sky. Alan Parsons Project. All right. So this is more of a throwback kind of record. This is very much a 1980s rock kind of record. Now, this is probably an album most of you are unfamiliar with, but I guarantee you every single one of you has heard the first song on the album, Sirius. Um, I can't really play it. I don't want to get copyright striked, but it's if you've watched Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the part when I think everything starts falling from the sky, it plays this one. There's this one guitar riff that goes like dun 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 dun, and like that's all I can really give you. But you've heard it before. It's got no vocals. Anyway, overall, this thing is all right. It was decent. I enjoyed it. Um, I'm not really into the 1980s rock anymore. I used to be a huge fan of like 80s hair metal. I don't know, you can't really call it metal to be honest. Like hair stuff like Bon Jovi, Dead or Alive, and like who else is there? It's a Pyromania by Def Leppard, stuff like that. That's not really me anymore. I still enjoy it, but um, I mean, I don't even know why I'm saying that because this is completely unrelated to that. It just so happens it came out in the 80s. It's a decent album. Um, Children of the Moon was a good song. Silence and I was a good song. Eye in the Sky was okay. You're Gonna Get Your Fingers Burned. I don't really remember that one to be honest, but honestly, if that's the case, then I probably didn't like it too much. Overall, this is a kind of it's an okay record. It's not super amazing, or it doesn't really do anything special for you. But it's like kind of your classic '70s, '80s like softer rock record. Um, so if you're kind of into that, you'd probably like this. Not exactly like my thing, but still something I really enjoyed for the most part. Um, I feel that this one kind of gets swept under the rug. It's a soothing record with some great vocals and some incredible jazz elements mixed in throughout. Overall, it can feel like the same thing again and again after a while. Kind of why I didn't like it so much. It very much got repetitive. But it's a well-written record with some really thoughtful decisions. Of course, the opening track is iconic, and the track that follows is their most popular for a reason, which is "Eye in the Sky," which was probably the best song on the record. Um, so I gave this a 6 out of 10. Um, so that follows in right behind Avenged Sevenfold. Overall, not amazing. Pretty decent. It's got some great songs. It's got some duds. It happens. All right, now we got Revenge Seekers by Jane Remover. This I don't. I don't know what to say about this record. Let me pull up the album because there were some standouts for sure on this thing that um I think Professional Vengeance was one of the ones I really liked. Turn Up or Die was fun, but my favorite by far was Experimental Skin. Not even close. This was easily my favorite song on the record. Um, because I mean every song is just full of these pop and insane like sounds and feet. I don't even know, like samples, I guess, that are just so ludicrous. And the entire thing is just like one giant rave album. It feels like, but it's special in a way. It's got like a lot of great elements to it. There's a lot of fun things in this record that I really liked. And part of that comes from Experimental Skin, where there's this midway through, there is just this crazy beat drop. And I was driving somewhere, I can't remember where, but I was driving somewhere, and this beat drop happens, and I just go, okay, okay. And I'm like, where'd this come from? And I was like, this is crazy. This is honestly really incredible. And it was really fun. Um, I enjoyed a lot of this because it was just super high energy, and super high energy stuff is kind of what you need when you want to have a good time or you want to cheer up, right? It was kind of rainy outside, kind of a dreary day, but this album kind of changed that for me. It was so fun, dude. It was really fun. I by no means I don't think it's for any like everybody. If I had to describe it, it kind of reminded me of Cardi, but a completely different genre, because Cardi does like to go crazy with like the different sounds and features and samples. This likes to do that too. This album likes to do that too. And Jane Remover is a name to remember, I think for sure. If you like crazy, like super high energy music, and you like really really crazy, just you don't even know how to describe it. The energy that I felt during this thing, crazy. I don't really know if any of these other albums even come close to the energy that this provided, to be completely honest with you. Now there were some songs I didn't like so much. I didn't like the features, not the features, the sounds that were used or the samples that were used. A lot of the lyrics are kind of hard to hear. A lot of I mean, the vocals are not like you don't listen to this for the vocals, but some of them were impressive. Some of them were difficult to hear over the craziness of the music and the beats. But overall, I mean, it was pretty fun. Let me read you what else I wrote about it. Um, Frankly, I didn't know what to expect with this, but I was pleasantly surprised. To be honest, this felt like a very experimental record with a lot of crazy beats and sounds thrown in, and yet I found that it worked pretty well as some solid rave music. This is the kind of record you'd put on if you need to let out some energy, and I could definitely see someone bumping this in the gym if they were trying to hit a PR or something. I absolutely could. That beat drop would go crazy while trying to like bench press like some PR or something. That would actually be that'd be so gas. In essence, the energy here is unlike any other. This was a pretty fun experience. I ended up giving Revenge Seekers a 7 out of 10. Now, this could very well go in the not for me category because this is really just not something I'd ever listen to. But this was so much fun. This is definitely at least a 7 out of 10 for me. I loved this thing, and I probably will go back and listen to it at some point. It was really enjoyable, and it's also here a second time. Um, I don't know how to delete that, so I think it's kind of just going to stay there. So we'll just ignore it for later. Um, Next is exclamation point. I don't know how to call this record. By Dead Poet Society. Overall, this was not super exciting for me. This was kind of one of the records that I didn't enjoy very much. So let me pull it up real quick. I just I don't know what it was. There was something about it. I mean, I liked some of the sounds, but it was like for me, it was kind of like it was on the edge of being something special, but it never quite reached it. Um, and I don't really know how to describe it. It's kind of metally, but at the same time, not really. It's more haunting, I guess, in a way, in some of the songs. Some of the vocals do feel a little bit too nuanced for me. Maybe not nuanced, but I don't know how I would describe them. They don't really feel like they belong with the music, in my opinion. Um, There was a few songs in here that I really liked though, like "Future of War" I think was one of them, maybe. Um, "Georgia" was a decent song. Um, I can't really speak for the rest because I don't really remember, um, which is unfortunate because largely this was mostly forgettable. Um, so as a result, I'm gonna have to say that Dead Poet Society is gonna go in the not for me category, or the exclamation mark. But let me tell you a little bit more about it. Not sure how to feel about this one. The only word I can really use to describe it is up and down. Overall, not too earth-shattering or exciting to me, but I didn't dislike it either. It's worth a listen, but it's not exactly my cup of tea. I gave it a 5 out of 10. And I don't want to hate on it. I hate doing this. Like, I hate hating on the records. I very much dislike hating on the records you guys recommend. Um, but this is definitely not for me. I don't know why. I just think it's just the not snot. Why did I say snot? It's just not a record that I was personally just interested in at the time of listening. Maybe a re-listen would do me some justice, and maybe I will re-listen to this. So I might re-listen to all these, to be honest. A lot of these were very good, but I didn't enjoy it too much. I thought it was kind of boring in a lot of spots for me, or lackluster, I guess is a better word. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Better than Cardi. There were some songs in here that I really did enjoy. This is kind of tough because both of these albums I feel very similar. Um, I feel very similar for both of them. They both have decent songs, but they also have a lot of duds that I would be fine with never listening to again. No disrespect. We'll put it above Cardi for now, but that's always subject to change. All right. Next, we have An Evening with Silk Sonic, featuring Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. Now, I kind of figured this was going to be crazy funky, crazy, like a crazy album that I would love to bump, and lo and behold, I was right. It was really good. It was really fun. Now, Bruno Mars, again, not a huge fan of his. Anderson .Paak, never listened to Anderson .Paak. Isn't he more of a producer anyway? I'm not actually sure. Um, that just goes to show how little I know, to be honest, when it comes to modern music. And Bruno Mars, obviously the most streamed artist on Spotify, except for maybe The Weeknd. Very talented artist, been around for a while now. Multiple songs with billions upon billions of streams. Very exciting man. Um, A lot of people love him for a lot of good reasons. This kind of proves why to me. I mean, let me pull up the record, tell you some of my standouts. Um, it was really fun. It was really fun. Fly as Me, really fun song. Put on a Smile was fun. I'm pretty sure 777 was one of the ones I really liked. I can't remember. I think there was one song on here that was just like half a minute, and that might have been it. I'm not sure. Uh, I don't know. I think 777 was one of the ones I really liked. Leave the Door Open was really good. And there's obviously a few others that were really good. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Fly As Me, which is like really funky. It's got like, I don't know, it sounds like the spoons are being used or something, or like the triangle. It's got this funk to it. Where I was just, when I listened to it, I was like, okay. Like it was really fun to listen to. Um, Now, was it perfect? No. Is it my thing? Not exactly, but it could very well become my thing. It was very fun. Um, Obviously Bruno Mars, kind of a pop guy, kind of an R&B kind of guy, very funky, a lot of great songs, a lot of emotional songs. And this was a really good record overall, and I'm really glad that this was recommended to me because it just shows, I mean, it shows why he's popular. I mean, Anderson .Paak was fantastic too. Bruno Mars, really special guy. I mean, it was really enjoyable. I don't have much to say about it aside from that. I mean, let me read you my other thoughts, but there's a reason that Bruno Mars is one of the most listened to artists. He's got a fantastic voice and he sings these beautifully written ballads with all sorts of messaging that can resonate with anyone who's fell in love before. He was an unstoppable force in the 2010s, and that's before this came out. Pairing him with Anderson .Paak to create what I think is probably the best Bruno Mars record to date. Granted, I've only heard like one or two others. I'm not like a huge Bruno Mars fan, of course, but who hasn't heard some of his stuff, right? Um, that kind of yeah. Although that's not saying a lot for me, as I'm not super into Bruno Mars. Yeah, this record was short yet sweet. Every song was either a beautiful love story or a funky, groovy beat that can get you moving. A landmark in modern funk pop for sure. Um, Again, I'm not sure if that's like what you would call it, genre like, or that's stylistically. That's not what you would probably call it, but that's how I felt. I gave it an 8.5. I would say I'd put it above Igor. I really like Igor, but this was a really fun time for me, and I think a lot of it was very enjoyable. All right, now we got the Slow Rush by Tame Impala. Um, I have never listened to Tame Impala, but I know that they're really popular, and of course I've heard like Borderline, and which was on this record, I think, and Vampire. Or no, Borderline was not on this record, was it? I don't think it was. Wait, no. No. It was, wasn't it? Crap, I can't remember. I just know what they all sound like. I just don't know the titles. I just can't remember the titles very much. Borderline was on this record, yeah. Borderline. The less I know, the better is the other one. And then there's a third one that's really popular. Is it Vampire or something? No, it's not. I don't know what it's called. But anyway, I enjoyed it. It's everything you expect when you think of Tame Impala, right? It's very funky, but it's also like emotional and kind of like nostalgic in a way. It makes you feel nostalgic. And I like that about this record. I think the feeling nostalgic is very important. I think it's one of the best feelings in the world. It reminds you of your childhood, reminds you of the better times, the good old days. One of my favorite quotes is like, "I wish I wish there was a way to know that you were in the good old days during the good old days," or whatever the quote is. I'm pretty sure it's a Friends quote. Although I hate Friends, terrible show. That's a hot take though. It's like Seinfeld's king. Like, sorry, it is. Um, but I mean, the Slow Rush has some good stuff on it. I mean, obviously Borderline, fantastic. Tomorrow's Dust is great. I liked One More Year and One More Hour. You know, although One More Hour, when I listened to it, it was just like, it just sounds like this dude's just begging me to re-listen to his record. And I'm like, okay. But it was good. It was a good album. Very mellow, very soft and mellow, and I just like the different use of instruments and almost the vaporwave style of like, or the vaporwave feel to it. Uh, it's just, I can see why you can see why Tame Impala is really special and really popular because the style of music mixes so well with the guy's vocals. His vocals almost sound like dreamy and distant, almost hazy. It kind of feels like a dream the entire time. or maybe like a drug trip, although I've never personally indulged. Maybe you have, I don't know. A lot of it's very fun. And let me tell you what else I said about it, if I can find the note. This was the slow rush. Yeah, the slow rush. It's really good, to be honest. I feel that this. I don't know if I can say this. I felt like this was a great album to have sex to. That's what I put because of how mellow it is. This is what you'd put on. There's another album that we'll get to on this list that's a really good album to have sex to, but we'll get to that later. Um, just due to the beats and instrumentation, take that as you will. But me personally, I would see that as a huge compliment. In truth, I'm not a huge Tame Impala fan, but I think that this album has definitely helped me become more expansive in my music taste. It relies heavily on the beats, and for that it excels. When there are vocals, they're almost entrancing and ethereal. It's a great record that will likely leave a lasting impression on someone who isn't super familiar with their work, such as myself. Um, I've heard Currents is like the Tame Impala record, but this was fantastic. I really liked it. I liked how it made me feel. I liked the emotions that it made me feel, and I did hear it a second time with a friend on the way back from, I believe, the zoo. No, not the zoo. Where was I? I was in D.C. Um, at some point, and I was visiting D.C. because when you get the chance to visit Washington D.C., you should go visit it, right? But and he put this on in the car, and we had this really nice conversation about life and feelings and emotions, and this was on in the background, and I felt like, honestly, it was the perfect record for it. Anyway, I gave this an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Common is really great. Random Access Memories is really great. Oh, God. I'm going to put it in between both of them. I feel like I'm hanging Common out to dry, but Common, don't take any offense, bro. You're a great artist. All right, next we have a completely different change of pace. We have Crowbar, Oddfellows Rest, which was the very last album I listened to. Um, this is not something for everybody. That's what we'll lead off with. This is not an album for most of you. We'll just go ahead and say that. Most of you would not like this. Um, it's it's very much, or at least I don't think most of you would like it. Hey, if you like it, good for you. It's a little crazy. Where is it? It was in here somewhere. Okay, yeah, here it is. All right, let me pull it up. This album is like a slab of concrete. This album is like a giant metal industrial building. This album is just like, it's like Jupiter the way it's heavy, bro. This album is unbelievably heavy. The guitar riffs are slow. They are like loud and violent, and the vocals are deep and dirty and gross, and it's beautiful. It is not for everybody because it is just so sludgy, and it almost feels like sludge metal, but I don't think you can call it sludge metal. It is just so violent. And I love it for that. I love it for that. It is really fun. It's it's fun if you're into this kind of style of music. It does a lot. It is God, there's so much going on. Like, well, maybe there's not so much going on. That's what the other thing. It's just like and that's why it's entertaining because it does one thing really well, and that's why it's great. It just hammers you with heavy guitar riffs and heavy vocals. Also, this is supposed to be 7.5. Um, and it just keeps going and going and going, and that's why it's great. Um, some of my standouts: 1,000 Year Eternal War was great. To Carry the Load is great. December Spawn was great. On Frozen Ground, I'm pretty sure was really good. Um, and one of my favorite things about this record is the last song, Remember Tomorrow, which, if you don't know, this is a cover of Iron Maiden. Made a song called Remember Tomorrow off their first record, Iron Maiden, one of my favorite bands. I'm going to go see them in September. Um, one of my favorite songs off that record. It's very slow. It's very much different from the rest of it. It's very soulful and very, like, melancholy in the way that it makes you reflect. And they did a cover of this, much heavier cover, but still kind of keeps up with a lot of the same ideas and feelings that Remember Tomorrow brings. And I really did appreciate that about this record. Overall, very heavy. A lot of people think they're the heaviest band in the world, Crowbar, and personally, I'm going to bring them up again. Electric Wizard, heavier, and honestly, I like a little bit more than Crowbar. But it's very different. It's a very different style. Electric Wizard has like 15-minute songs of just the same riff over and over again. But sometimes you just kind of need that, and I really like that. Crowbar, I also really liked. I don't like the vocals as much as I do Electric Wizard's vocals. But again, you do not listen to these bands for their vocals. You listen to their crazy, heavy, insane guitar work and insane just beats. Not even beats, but like maybe lack thereof. I don't even know. But Oddfellows Rest is really fun. If you're into metal, I'd give it a try. This can kind of test how heavy you're willing to go. Um, Other stuff I said about this. Feels like a slightly less heavy, slightly more coherent Electric Wizard. Of course, I said that already. It's not as long, and it's more mainstreamish in that way, I suppose. Overall, I found this to be a fun record for some nasty riffs, insanely heavy chugging, and overall disgusting vocals, which I think is important. And I mean that in a good way. It's a fun time if you're into heavier stuff, and it doesn't feel like it's too much at any point, but that is the whole point. It's not too much, and you just enjoy the heavy riffs as they come. I gave this a 7.5 out of 10. It is very fun if you're into that sort of thing. These were all 8s, and these were 8.5, so you're going to go over here. As you can see, I liked most of these records. Just a couple that, not for me. And even this, I feel like I could move down here, but I definitely liked it better than these two. All right. Next, we got a big one. Next, we got a big one. Changes in latitude. Changes in attitude. Good old Jimmy Buffett. Rest in peace, the legend himself. Um, I mean, I grew up in rural America, the countryside, farmland, horses everywhere. Jimmy Buffett was very popular. Not maybe in my household, but in general. And he's got so many albums, and most of them are just so fantastic. And he is, when I think of relaxing on the beach, with a margarita in my left hand, and the sunglasses and a hat, I just think of Jimmy Buffett, dude. Like Jimmy Buffett embodies like the American dream almost, man. He is a legend. Anyway, let's get to the album. Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitudes. It's his best work, I think. I do like some of his other albums. I do like Volcano a lot. And there's others that I really like, but there's so many of them that are just so special to me. But Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitude is probably his best work. Banana Republic's fantastic song. Tampico Trauma, fantastic song. Margaritaville obviously is his most recognizable song, and it's fantastic for a reason. Landfall, I love. Landfall might be my favorite song on the record. I've always loved that song. Lovely Cruise, fantastic. When you think of yeah, it's exactly what you think of. Like you think of like country, but also kind of like tropical country. This is not exactly everyone's cup of tea, I understand, but it's Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett's a legend. He is so special to me, and I really, really like this album. And I'm so glad it got recommended to me because I had never actually gone and listened to the whole thing. Granted, I'd probably heard every song already before even listening to the album, but still, hearing it in order feels special. And I'd highly recommend it simply because of how special it is and how much it means to me and how much it probably means to a lot of you out there. I mean, Jimmy Buffett's a very special character. And rest in peace to Jimmy Buffett somewhere up there. He's, chilling. He's got fins to his left and fins to his right. I don't know. If you know Jimmy Buffett, you obviously understand that reference. But those are some of the standouts. Honestly, any of the songs on the record are standouts. He's just such a fantastic artist. Let me read you some extra information that I had. Jimmy Buffett will forever remind me of my childhood, my friends, and the memories we made along the way. He's a goddamn legend, and there's truly no one who's ever come close to the legend that he has left behind. Any of his songs can whisk you away to a tropical island on the beach with a beer. He has the unique ability to just immediately bring me back home. A legendary voice with some incredible instruments to back him Changes in Latitude is one of his signature records and perfectly embodies the feeling that I just previously described. You know, it's so fun. Like Jimmy Buffett is just such a great artist, and I really really love his stuff, and I really really love the feelings that he makes me feel and the emotions. He's great. He's a great artist, and I really do feel like he's the kind of artist that more people need to get into. Like, if you're not into country, you'll still like Jimmy Buffett, and just the tropical vibes that he brings. It'll remind you of the summer. It'll remind you of some of your best memories as a human being. Maybe some of those best memories with that special someone. Maybe some of those best memories with your children, or with your parents, or just being by yourself and just feeling. He's a great artist for that, and for that reason, I gave him a 9 out of 10. And God, this is a decision that I can't make super easily, man. Oh my God, Channel Orange or Jimmy Buffett? Like this is just. I definitely think it's above this record as much as I liked it. Although like I think it being an EP kind of holds it back a little bit for me. But this is for first place. I gotta put Jimmy Buffett at number one, dude. It's such a great record for so many reasons. It's it does so much that not a lot of people can replicate, and he's just so special for that reason. All right, next is Thriller, which I was very disappointed in being recommended. Really, like, come on, it's Thriller. Of course, I've heard Thriller. Um, I'm not gonna spend too much time on Thriller. I mean, it's Michael Jackson. It's it's the Michael Jackson record, right? Everyone's heard it. Everyone loves it. It's really, really good. I mean, I'll give you the standouts. Wanna be starting something. The girl is mine. Thriller. Beat it. Billie Jean. Like it's so many of these songs are just like everyday staples, and this thing came out in '82. Like it's so fantastic. The beats are great. He's the king of pop for a reason, man. He's so special. A lot of what he does in this record is phenomenal. Um, it's tough to beat. It's tough to beat Thriller. I'm not gonna say anything else about it because I mean it's Thriller. You've heard it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, or that's what I gave it. Um, Again, like I don't know what else there's to say. It's definitely above Common. It's definitely above You. I'll put it right here. I think that's fair. I think this was an 8.5 anyway, so like this feels right. All right, now we got 1999 by Joey Badass. This was interesting for me because Joey Badass again is just another artist that I'm not super familiar with, and it's another style of it's just another like rap or hip hop, I guess I should say. This felt more like hip hop than rap to me. Um, Album that I I just didn't think I'd like. It was an hour long, which I think was one of the more long albums that you guys recommended. But like Survival Tactics, Kill Illuminati, Penny Royal, Daily Routine, Righteous Minds, all these were like really, really good songs. And I believe those were most of the standouts that I had. You can fact check that for me and listen to them and call me an idiot for saying that, but it's been a while since I've heard that record. That was one of the first ones I listened to. But those were definitely some of the more, because I remember those titles. Um, those were some of the more important records I think that I listened to. Um, and I really enjoyed it. Um, Overall, not exactly my thing, but still good enough to where I enjoyed like half the record, maybe a little bit more than half. I would say it was a solid album. It pleasantly surprised me. I liked his vocals. I liked the beats and kind of how chill it was in comparison to what I was thinking it was going to be. It was never too abrasive or too complicated. It was kept it simple and also kind of nostalgic. Um, it felt kind of like childhood, and I guess that's kind of the point. Maybe that's kind of his reason for making this. I don't know. I don't know what his purpose was, but overall, it was really well made, and I did like some of the features on this record. Really, just I don't have any super complaints about it. I just found it to be really, really good for the most part. Um, a lot of it, again, I could kind of cast off to the wayside. Similar story with Dial It, but a lot more enjoyable for me, I think. And I think it's a record that I have saved now, and I think I will do some re-listens and try to get a better feeling of how I feel about it. But overall, all I said was this is a solid album, amazing lyricism, and a great overall tone. Felt very retro to me, which I was kind of expecting based on the album name. Again, 1999. Would definitely listen to again. Um, didn't blow me away or anything, but again, very special, very enjoyable. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10, which would put it above you and puts you tied with Avenged Sevenfold, but I'm going to go ahead and put you ahead of that. I think it's like a high 6.5. Like it's close to Jane Remover's 7, I think. It's a very good record, and I'm happy it was recommended. So, thank you for the recommendation. Next, we have Miles Davis Kind of Blue. I mean, you just have to really appreciate jazz, man. You just really do. If you don't appreciate jazz, then you're lost. Like jazz is one of those genres that is timeless. It's one of those genres that will forever influence music and will forever be important for so many different reasons. Just the instruments, the conversations between the instruments, the figures, the icons, um, the memories, the emotions. Jazz is just one of those. It's one of the most important genres I think of all time, and I really don't think there's an argument against that. Um, if you've seen La La Land, you can relate to that. La La Land, phenomenal movie. Again, I only gave it 3.5 stars. Check me out on Letterboxd, by the way, but that's mostly because of the ending. Um, I think it could have been done a little bit better, but still, great movie. And my favorite thing about La La Land is not the love story between Mia and Sebastian, but the love story between Sebastian and Jazz. That's my favorite. That's my favorite part about that movie. I think um, he does. I think Ryan Gosling does Jazz a lot of justice in that film and kind of explains how it's kind of a lost art form, and a lot of people don't appreciate it for what it is these days. Um, and that's kind of why it's important to keep, artists like Miles Davis and Duke Ellington, and even Louis Armstrong or anybody, keep them around. B.B. King, another phenomenal artist. He might be more like a blues or soul kind of guy, but again, like those are all like genres that we need to keep around because they were so influential in modern day rap and just even the 80s and 90s. I mean, it's hard. You can't really overstate how influential. Anyway, getting into the album. It's a 5-song album. It's not an album. It's an entire conversation. That's the whole point. Kind of Blue is an entire conversation. That's the purpose of it. It's not meant to be an album. It's meant to be a conversation, at least in my interpretation. It is 5 songs, 45 minutes. Yes, you heard that right. And one of them is like 4 minutes, so you know that there's like 4 songs that are like 12 minutes on here or something like that, 11 minutes maybe. And all of them feature John Coltrane and other really incredible artists, members of the jazz community. This came out in 1959 and it's timeless. Like standouts, I think Blue and Green was probably my second favorite song of the. I think Freddie Freeloader was my favorite song on this record. Again, it doesn't matter. The whole thing is just one giant conversation, and it's a really special conversation. Um, if you listen to this 45-minute conversation between Coltrane, Davis, and everybody else, and all the instrumentation, and the like, it'll change your perspective on a lot of music. I think it's trailblazing for a reason. And Miles Davis is one of those artists that you could probably listen to forever. Like honestly, if someone told me you're stuck on an island forever, you can only listen to one artist, and your artist is Miles Davis, I wouldn't complain, man, because jazz is one of those things like no matter the mood, I feel like you can listen to it, and I feel like this album kind of just shows that. And there's no problems with it. It's a flawless record. It really is. And I think jazz is just really lost. It's just a lost art form for a lot of people that they really need to go and find for themselves and find the appreciation. So for that reason, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Kind of Blue. No, there's no mistakes. I mean, you could justify a 10 out of 10 here. You really could, but it's just so good. I me personally, I think I'd put it right here. I love jazz, but this is such an emotional album, and this just reminds me of my childhood. Like it's hard to beat those two. All right, going from Miles Davis to Ethel Cain is just not a good transition. You're going from one of my favorite albums to actually probably my least favorite album of any of the ones I listened to. Um, when this guy recommended it to me, I was very upset. I'm not gonna lie because I knew I would hate this. Preacher's Daughter. Um, like American Teenager was okay song. Western Nights was fine. The rest of it, I was just like, please end. Oh my god. Um, this to me feels like a depressed Taylor Swift, and I am not a fan. I'm not a Swiftie by any means, and I never will be. Um, and I kind of the one thing I will give it, and that's kind of why I kept the rating at least a little bit above what I probably should have given it, is I do like the story. Um, it does paint a picture of this kind of country style, this country girl, and she doesn't really have anybody, and then she meets this guy. This guy turns out to be really abusive, and he ends up murdering her and killing her, and I think eating her too. It's really violent, which is very creative, and I kind of like the idea behind it. But there's even a song called August Underground, which is kind of crazy. I'm guessing that's the song. I can't really remember. I'm guessing that's the song in which she gets murdered. If you don't know what August Underground is a snuff film. Or it's not a snuff film, but it's a film that's supposed to look like a snuff film. It's very violent, and I've never seen it, but it's a movie so violent and evil that people actually thought it was real and they were actually killing people. I wouldn't, if you have like a weak stomach, I wouldn't go searching for it. But it's supposed to be pretty brutal. Um, so seeing that as one of the song titles was really shocking, and that kind of put into perspective just how serious we were taking this. Um, yeah, I don't have a lot to say. Um, I got to be honest, I was really bored by this album, and I didn't like it at all. There was a few, like again, Western Nights, American, what was it called? American Girl, American Teenager. Those were probably my two favorite songs, and even those were kind of just like, all right, whatever. Um, but the one I do really like the story, and I do really like Ethel Cain's ability to switch kind of not voices but kind of genres in the way that this album is portrayed. Like she starts it with a very happy sounding record and closes it with a very dark and disturbing story about death and finding love in the wrong places, I guess. Which I can kind of see why someone would like this record. I don't think it's marketed towards uh, men in their 20s. Probably why I didn't like it too much, but it's not exactly for me, is what we'll say. And I don't think it's something I'm ever going to listen to again because it's just not something I liked. Um, to add a little more, I can very much respect the decisions that she made throughout the record and the versatility of her vocals. The lyricism is meaningful in many cases, but I find it mostly flat. To be fair, this is also really out there for me. It's far out of my realm for musical taste. The best part about this record is how haunting and utterly unapologetic it is about itself. It tells a gruesome tale of sexual violence, and it best displays it through the tonal differences as the tracks continue. However, for me personally, it doesn't stick, but I could absolutely see how it could for somebody. Now, I did give it some bonus points because of her vocals, the story, and the haunting chillingness of it. It did make me feel creeped out for a little bit, and for that, it gets bonus points. I gave it a 3.5 out of 10, which means I disliked it. Not for me, I'm sorry, but it's just not a record I ever need to listen to again. Uh, Sorry. I mean, not for me is one thing, but disliked I feel terrible about putting it there. But it's something that it doesn't appeal to me, and it never will. And let's just get that out there. All right. Next we have Off the Wall by Michael Jackson. Again, classic MJ record. I don't think I need to go into too much detail here. I'll go into a little bit more detail than I did on Thriller, though, because Thriller is like your classic MJ record. Everyone knows about Thriller. Off the Wall, maybe not so much, because maybe people just like to listen to Thriller and then they're like, oh, okay, I've heard it all. No, you haven't. Off the Wall is just as good. Off the Wall is maybe his best record. Um, it's got Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You, Get on the Floor, obviously Off the Wall. She's Out of My Life, which is probably the best song on the record. Girlfriend is a great song. The whole thing, seamless. I mean, he's the king of pop. Michael Jackson, very talented, obviously. Um, I think I think vocally, this album was a lot more impressive than Thriller, but instrumentally, Thriller was a lot more impressive. Maybe I have that mixed up. I have it in my notes. Let me check. Um, yeah, I got that mixed up. Thriller is definitely more of the vocal album, and then Off the Wall is more funky, groovy, and full of the instrumentals that you know MJ for. And I think that's kind of why it's like pick. You can kind of make your choice with these two albums. You can kind of choose your favorite. You don't have to, listen to Thriller. You don't have to listen to Off the Wall. They're both a little bit different from each other, but give the same vibe, and they're both equal in quality, in my opinion. I think Michael Jackson I mean, he only produced bangers, right? So, but Off the Wall is more of his early work, and I really like the instrumentals here. They feel a lot more poppy and a lot more fun and a lot more dancey than Thriller does for me. Although Thriller does have a lot more of his timeless classics on it, Off the Wall has a lot more of his funkier, poppier, enjoyable stuff with maybe less clean or important vocals tied into it. Um, they're definitely less pronounced in this record, but overall, I mean, it's a fantastic album. I would give it an 8 out of 10 as well. Better than Thriller, worse than Thriller. I'll leave it up to you. Um, but for now, I'll probably put it ahead of Thriller. I don't know. It's really close for me, but I'd probably put it right above it. All right, next we've got "Let's Get It On" by Marvin Gaye. Obviously, Marvin Gaye, like soul legend, R&B legend. His album "What's Going On" is widely considered one of the greatest records to ever be made. And I was kind of hoping I would get that recommended to me, but instead I got "Let's Get It On," which is frankly probably just as good. This thing was phenomenal. It was fantastic. Now let's go back to this album, The Slow Rush, and the one thing I did say during that album when I was listening or when I was reviewing it, I said this is probably a very fantastic album to have sex to. Let's Get It On is easily the sex manifest album. If you're gonna be banging, bang to this record. All right, bang to this. This is the album that you want to be shaboinking to. Um, Let me give you. let's uh, let's talk a little bit more about it. I think records like this are some of the most important records in music's history. Hell, Marvin Gaye is one of the most influential people in music's history, musical memory. His blend of mesmerizing instrumentals that are capped off by his hypnotic vocals creates some of the best soul music to date. Let's Get It On is a landmark record that includes a myriad of songs about love and songs about life. While it may be short, it is most certainly sweet. The fact that this isn't even considered his best record is pretty incomprehensible. I mean, it's just a testament to how talented Marvin Gaye is and how incredible of an artist he is, and how much I think we all should come to appreciate him as a trailblazing figure in the soul and the blues, maybe not blues, but soul industry. Um, Now, let me tell you some of my standouts. I mean, it's a relatively short record, but obviously, "Let's Get It On" is a song everyone's heard. You play the first 5 seconds, and you're like, "Oh, this song." "Keep Getting It On." You sure do love to ball. "If I Should Die Tonight" is probably my favorite song on the record, if I'm being honest. "Distant Lover." I mean, it's only 8 songs in 31 minutes, but it's fantastic. It's everything you could ever want out of a Marvin Gaye record, and I think it's really special for that reason. Obviously, "Midnight Love's" really classic. I mean, "Sexual Healing's" a great song, and "What's Going On's" got fantastic songs. "God Is Love," "Save the Children," "Right On." But this is just something that you can't forget. I mean, "Let's Get It On" is a classic, and the person who recommended this to me told me this was his favorite album, or one of his favorite albums. I can see why. It's fantastic. The beats, the melodies, the instruments, they all create this really really soulful sound that really mixes well with Marvin Gaye's messaging. And I think his messaging is pretty clear. He's very much in love. He very much has a partner that he wants to do some fun things with, and he wants to keep with him forever. Somebody he truly does appreciate. And I think it's very very relatable. I think it's something that we all strive to get in life, is that one special someone, and I think that's kind of why this record is so important, because it talks about that special someone and sharing those special secret private moments with them, and growing up and like remembering those moments and being able to think back to the great times when you had moments with those kind of people. And I think like That's what makes Marvin Gaye such an important artist, is just not only his messaging but his influence. And it's I think it's rare for somebody like Marvin Gaye to kind of like, show up. I mean, obviously MJ, very very influential. Um, I mean, I'd argue Marvin Gaye is the most influential artist on this list, aside from MJ, I guess. I mean, by definition, MJ is just kind of like the king of pop, and most people. I mean, he's still on like top 100 charts today, I'm sure. But anyway, Marvin Gaye, let's get it on. I gave this a 9 out of 10. Um, God, uh, it's hard for me to distinguish my favorite between Miles Davis and Marvin Gaye because they're both not the same, but they're very similar. I think I'm going to give Miles Davis the edge because you can interpret his music and his messaging in so many different ways, and just the conversation of jazz to me is so special. Whereas Marvin Gaye, I mean, it's pretty obvious what a lot of his songs are about, even if those messages are extremely important. I would probably put Miles Davis slightly ahead. I feel really bad because I really like this album, and I feel like I'm dogging all over it by putting four ahead of it. But this EP, okay, sorry, not album, EP. This EP is really good. Like In Transit's really good, and I would highly recommend listening to it. All right, huge change of pace here. Um, we got Hyper Youth, I think it was called, by Joey Valence and Bray, I think is how you pronounce it. This is just a crazy hyper thing, and I mean it's called Hyper Youth. Uh, this thing's chock full of like pop culture references and crazy beats and just insane energy. And the whole purpose of this thing is to dance and rave and move over your body and just feel good. It's very much like Jane Remover. I feel maybe not on the same level as Jane Remover, but it's not the same. I think Jane Remover is trying to make a point and is speaking for something deeper with their messaging, whereas Joey Valence is just like, I love to play basketball. I dunk like LeBron James. I got it all. Like it's just some crazy hyper fast vocals with some incredible beats. Let me more specifically dive into what I said. This is exactly what I'd expect to hear in a club. Would I listen to this religiously outside of a club? Probably not. But if I'm in a really good mood or have crazy energy, then you best believe we bumping the hell out of this album. Holy hell, does this go hard! It switches from insane speedy club beats with techno rap, and then it switches up to a more lo-fi beat with more mellow bars. I honestly love the energy, just not sure how much replayability it has. Um, I mean, for context, like the first song on this thing, like, where's the album? Here it is. Hyper Youth and Bust Down were both so fun. They go crazy. Like Bust Down was probably my favorite song, honestly. Give It to Me and I think Is This Love were both slower songs, and that's the one thing kind of holding this back. I feel like if it was just a crazy ball of energy the whole time, it would have been better for what it is. But I do like the slower stuff too. It was definitely not afraid to be softer and to be a little bit more mellow and more soulful. Maybe not soulful, but more um, in touch with itself, I think. And I think that's kind of why it's such a special record in terms of just like how different it is, because it has two modes. It has crazy hyper, let's dance, let's rave mode, and I love you, come back to me, like I need to be in my feels right now. Maybe not to the level you're thinking, but still to a much more exaggerated level than say bust down when we're supposed to be busting down and breaking our knees on the floor, right? Um, I like it's not my cup of tea at all, but I still really enjoyed it. Let me say, I already read this, but yeah, it's so much fun. Like, I think it's definitely worth a listen. Like, it's just something that it's not for everybody for sure, but it's something that is definitely just it's there, and you got to give it a listen because of how fun it is. Like, it's just so interesting. I guess I don't know. It does some things that I wasn't expecting. That's all I'll say. I mean, it was kind of like a techno party. It's rave music. Like it's something you can get down to, but it's something you can also cry to. Maybe not cry to, but it does get emotional at times. And I really did like it. Um, Again, not for me, but I'm glad it was recommended because I still enjoyed it. So I give it a 7 out of 10. Again, I don't think it's as important or as impactful as Jane Remover. So for that, Jane Remover might get like a 7.1 out of 10, whereas this gets a 7, right? And obviously it's better than these. So next we have a really different record. And this was the only record I think that I listened to that was not in English. Um, and it was called Amoroso by, I'm going to butcher this, João Gilberto, I think. Um, which, I mean, João Gilberto, I'm not really super familiar with his work. But he is, from what I understand, Brazilian and kind of maybe like one of the lead pop stars in Brazil, although it was not pop, at least to me. It was more like soulful, but it was very good, this record. Now, it's definitely not going to be for everybody because a lot of people I don't think like music in um, different like languages. But in this case, it's so special because it's one of those art albums where you don't really need the vocals to understand what the messages are. This to me felt like an album made out of pure joy. Like this to me, like everything here was just so special. Like this felt so fun. It felt kind of like a warm summer's day where you go for a stroll and just like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but every song was just like it's great to be alive. And I think that's kind of why I really liked it because clearly this guy just loves life. Even the first song, Wonderful, or is Wonderful, starts like apostrophe S Wonderful. It is in English, but he doesn't really say a lot of words. It's just like wonderful, magnifique. But the vibes are immaculate, and that's what kind of carries this album. Triste is a great song. Waves a great song. Decime Mucho is a great song. It's only 8 songs, 44 minutes, but it's special. I mean, this is '70s record, so it's old school for maybe what you were thinking. But I like his voice, I really do, and it's a lot. I mean, I don't. It's a case of where you just don't need to understand what the vocals are to really just to love the album and appreciate it for what it is because it is a lot of happiness, it is a lot of joy, and it is a lot of fun. And at one point, I kind of thought of it like happy elevator music, but it's definitely a lot more than that. Let me read you what I wrote. I wrote, in many cases, there are albums out there that are in a different language, and those albums I will likely never understand the lyrics. However, this album, which I believe is entirely in Italian, I thought it was Italian. It might be like Portuguese since it's Brazil, but um, however, yeah, it doesn't, which I believe is entirely in Italian, probably Portuguese, doesn't need the listener to understand the words to understand the record. Simply put, the feel of this record is immaculate. It's so mellow and very clearly happy. The songs feel like genuine love songs, regardless of the intent. I imagine these are the kinds of songs you'd expect to hear in beautiful countryside, right before taking your fiance out for an evening in Paris to propose your love to her. What a beautiful record this was. Like, even that is just such a great analogy. Like, it really does feel that way. Like, it just feels like you're happy because you're with somebody and you love them so much and it's just such a great time. Like a lot of these records give that vibe. Like they give that vibe of just loving your partner and just wanting the best for them and just feeling all the emotions you're supposed to feel, really. So yeah, I gave João Gilberto's Amoroso an 8 out of 10. I know I've given like 5 or now 8 out of 10s, but I liked a lot of these records. Unfortunately, the rest of these 8 out of 10s that it's up against are really, really like power punchers. Um, so it's probably like I'd probably go here. Yeah, Common's so great. This is a great record. This is so much fun, and then these two are classics. Like you can't beat that. It's just I mean Crowbar is 7.5, and honestly, I'd probably say this is a better record than this Crowbar record. I mean, this Crowbar record is very deep and very, very violent and very sludgy and disgusting, which is awesome. But this is a different vibe, and it's a much better vibe. Next, we have Fukit, Fkit, two separate words by Alameda. Probably an artist most of you are not familiar with, but an artist that I am now more familiar with than ever, as I did go see her in concert recently. And it was a very fun time. She has crazy energy. She loves her fans, and she very much cares about what they have to say. And I think
Although she doesn't have a lot of music out and she's relatively new, she's pretty special in the stuff that she does, and I really like her style because it's very pop punk. And I'm a big punk fan. I do love a lot of punk music, if maybe not pop punk, but I'm a big fan of the Dead Kennedys. Plastic Surgery Disasters is an album that I think all of you should listen to. It's really great. Minor Threat. Minor Threat's a punk band that I like. Um, Even like the Misfits are, very punk. They got some good stuff, and there's more punk that I'm missing that I listen to, but I mean it's very similar. Except this is very pop punk, and instead of like talking about how much the government sucks and how much we need to overthrow them, which is what I think a lot of the punk says, or it's not even that. It's just like not overthrowing the government, but talking about the government control and like the importance of individualism and being yourself rather than falling for what the government tells you is right. This is more like pop punk, like relationships and feelings towards others and how much you hate certain people and real raw emotions against people. Like there's one song she was talking about in concert about her mom, and she used some pretty strong language about her mom, who I guess wasn't super present when she was growing up, which probably impacted greatly some of her songs on some of her EPs because she doesn't have actually like full length albums. She has EPs. This one's 8 songs, 22 minutes. Um, and some of the standouts are Guy's Girl, probably one of the better records or better songs on the record. I Already Dug Your Grave's a great one. First Love Song's not bad. Below the Belt's fun. I Hate Your Face is the opener. It's pretty good. Overall, it's very, very solid. I mean, it's pretty much exactly what you could want out of a pop punk record. I mean, it's very, very emotional in its punk emotion, so it's not like it's super in my feels, but it's super like I'm gonna put it out there and I'm gonna tell you all exactly how I feel, and this is the way it is, and this is how it should be. Very very pop punk in that sense. And I like a lot of the instrumentation in this EP. A lot of it does feel mellow, a lot of it does feel sharper, and I do like her vocals a lot and her ability to like switch between different cadences in her vocals. And I do think she's got a very big future. She is friends with Doichi, I believe. Like they're actually like friends in real life, so I'm sure she's had a big influence on her. I'm sure Alameda's had a big influence on Doichi. So Alameda is definitely a name to remember because she's probably going to be around for a while, and she's pretty talented. If you do kind of like the punk scene, and if you kind of do like pop punk, maybe pop post punk, then I think Alameda is kind of for you. She doesn't have a lot of music. I mean, even at the concert we went to, she played I think every song she's ever written. Because again, she's relatively new, but still. Um, Let me see what else I said. She hates everyone. Overall, a solid EP. Obviously, not super long, 8 songs, 22 minutes, but in that time, it gets the message out pretty clearly. She's pretty angry. She hates her ex. I do like the difference between the first and second half of the record. It starts with a slower, more hateful sound, and when she lays out her feelings in both psychological and physical ways. But then the second half blends different sounds, seemingly almost a dreamy tune with a country style type sound, especially on the last track of the EP. Overall, I like some of the things that this EP did, and other times I was a little less entertained. That happens with every album, so it's like, yeah, I mean, especially with pop punk. I mean, I'm more of like a kind of like a rocky punk kind of deal. That's usually my thing. Like again, if you've heard the Dead Kennedys, you understand that. Um, I'm trying to think of other artists that I had that were punky. I can't remember, but I mean, I do like a lot of punk, so. And I'm sure I could recommend you guys some punk if you really are interested. Anyway, I gave this a 7 out of 10, and I'd probably put it above the Jane Remover record, just because I don't know. I like what she had going. I like the messaging, and I like her style, and she's very much herself. And I like the story behind it, and it really feels. I think that concert did a lot for me, just because she feels more personal to me now, and I can kind of understand where she's coming from. Whereas Jane Remover, I'm just kind of getting to know, and this is. I kind of just like the music a little bit better than I guess on this one, although this is fun and should not be ignored. Next, we have Late Registration, Kanye West. Now, again, Kanye West, very polarizing figure. He just dropped a Bully as this video is coming out, which is doing very well. A lot of people are liking it. It's got a lot of Yeezus vibes, got a lot of Donda vibes, maybe some of the 808s kind of style. So it kind of feels like old Kanye, but at the same time, probably kind of feels like a desperate cry for help because, it is Kanye. He is trying to atone for his sins and the horrible things that he said in the past. But luckily, um, this is an album that came way before all of that did. Um, Late Registration is phenomenal from front to back. It is very influential, and it's pretty clear as to why it's very popular. Um, it's it does a lot of little things, and this was back when like Kanye was kind of an underdog, and he definitely gave underdog vibes. Um, he's kind of the gold standard for like the 21st century and especially early 2000s hip hop and I guess rap. Yeah, I mean he's a fantastic producer. He's got some fantastic um, features on this thing, and I like the messaging with a lot of this. I mean, I'll give you some of my standouts right now. Whew. Forgive me, I am getting tired trying to film this whole thing in one take. Um, but yeah, I mean, even the skits were really funny, but Touch the Sky is fantastic. Wake Up, Mr. West. Obviously, Gold Digger, I think was like the biggest song of the year that year. Diamonds from Sierra Leone featuring Jay Z. That's a classic. I mean, Nas is one of my favorite rappers. So We Major, I love We Major. I love Nas's feature on that record or on that song. I think it's fantastic. Hey Mama is an emotional song. Addiction's great. I mean, there's so many great songs. Roses is fantastic. Drive Slow. Drive Slow is probably not my favorite, but Drive Slow is still a really good song. Um, yeah, I mean, Late Registration. It's my introduction to Kanye. Really, I mean, I've heard Kanye a million times, right? But it's my first full length Kanye album that I've listened to, and I did like it. I thought it was very special, and I thought a lot of what he did can resonate a lot with what people believe. And I think this was a very politically charged album, in obviously a different way than what he likes to present these days. But it is very. Um, I think it speaks a lot to like the black experience. I think, and you can hear that in some of the skits and like obviously some of the messages he's trying to portray and the pictures he's trying to paint for his audience. And I think he's kind of talking about his rise and his experience growing up and kind of just being an underdog in life in general. And I feel like Late Registration is all about that. And now I am probably missing some of the story, and I probably should listen to this a second time. It has been a bit. But it's a fantastic record. And My Way Home was a great album too because I heard this and I was like, "Oh my God, Common, there he is!" So it was really cool, listening. It was really cool. Was the way I did this was I spun a wheel and I landed on a random album, and it just so happened that I listened to "Be" by Common, and then right after I listened to Late Registration. So it was really interesting when that happened. Um, Further thoughts on the record. I mean, what can I say? This is the gold standard of 21st century production in hip hop. Kanye, at least back in the 2000s, had the world in the palm of his hand. He helped raise a generation of young men and women. I've been in numerous conversations about him and his accomplishments, even though I was never a part of the audience. His influence is obviously that big. His influence cannot be understated. Late Registration is lyrically powerful, built on some strong production and intellectual samples. The features are mostly home runs, and even the skits are entertaining as hell and add so much. Late Registration's whole purpose, as Kanye states, is to take the audience back to school, to educate them on some vital topics around the world. Kanye just also has immaculate flow, and it's hard to really hate on this record at all. Sure, there were some songs I like more than others, but this is a classic for a reason. I mean, I don't think I need to tell you guys about Late Registration. I'm sure most of you watching this know what it is and have heard it. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10, and I think I can comfortably put it above An Evening with Silk Sonic and Igor. I think I would put it right there. It's really good. It is very, very good. Next we have Mister by Leslie Odom Jr. which, to be honest, I was not a big fan of, um, which sucks because I kind of like Leslie Odom Jr. Um, I did like a lot of it. I did think a lot of it was very emotional. Um, this was the whole point. Um, "You Are My Everything" is a great song. "Go Crazy" is a great song. "Hummingbird" is a great song. "Remember Black" is a great song. And I mean, I do like Leslie Odom Jr. and I mean, I'm not a huge Hamilton fan or anything, but I do I do like his voice and I do like what he has to say. And he does have some great songs on the record, but I did feel lost in a lot of it and I just didn't think it was for me. I do think that album would do a lot for me listening at a different time in my life, like at a more emotionally available, not emotionally available, emotionally what's the word I'm looking for? Av- it's not available. I guess vulnerable would be a good word. When I'm at a more emotionally vulnerable time in my life, I would probably listen to that record. Um, but right now, it just didn't really feel relevant. And I did like his voice, and I did love how like out there some of it was, and also how like emotional it was. But it just wasn't for me. And I felt that Leslie Odom Jr. deserves better than what I'm giving him. But I just didn't feel it. I just didn't really feel it the way I should have. Um, Other stuff I said, very emotional. I really like some of the vocals here and the overall performance by Leslie Odom throughout the album. It's not really my thing, and I didn't really feel the emotions from his vocals or from the instruments. But it's a good record, and I'm glad it was recommended. It's a happy project that warms your heart and also touches you like emotionally. But I just don't think I'm in the state for that right now, and it's also just not something I was super blown away by. Um, so for that reason, I gave it a 5.5 out of 10, which does feel blasphemous because this is a great record, and I do think if you ask anybody else, they would probably give it a much higher rating than I did. Um, but it was really enjoyable, and it does a lot of little things right, but it also does a lot of things wrong for me. Um, some of his vocals were not so great. I think for the most part he did a good job, but some of them were very, I think, irritable to me. And I did kind of like how basic the instrumentals were for the most part, but in other spots it felt lackluster. So for that reason, I give it a 5.5, which I think we'll slide it in like right here, I guess. I think this was a 6 anyway, so. All right. And kind of similar story with Prince, honestly, 1999, which feels really blasphemous to say because Prince 1999 is one of his classic records. I mean, it's no Purple Rain, of course, but it's fantastic. I mean, 1999 is a great song. What was the other one? I can't remember the other one. God, I can't remember anything anymore. Um, Delirious is a fantastic song. Something in the Water is a good song. Lady Cab Driver is a good song. But the problem with it is I just felt it was very repetitive and very long. Um, a lot of Prince's songs here were way longer than they needed to be, in my opinion, and I felt that it kind of made for a disappointing experience. I thought that the first like 4 songs on the record were phenomenal, and then after that, it just fell off a cliff. For the most part, I mean, some of it I liked, but again, like as I just said, but like Delirious, great song, 1999, one of my favorite Prince songs, but it kind of just falls off of a cliff, and it's not great in because of that. And I hate that it does that for me, but it does do that for me. And as a result, um, Prince did not get a great rating from me. Um, I do consider him to be a phenomenal guitar player, and I do love a lot of his riffs here, all his work. But I kind of was expecting more, um, and for that, I'm sorry, but not not my favorite. So I'm gonna go ahead and just, I mean, I'll read what I wrote, but there's not really much else to say. This is also not an album anyone recommended me. Someone recommended me Joey Badass's 1999, and I thought they meant Prince's 1999, so I just ended up listening to both. But I have the utmost respect for Prince as an artist and consider him one of the greatest guitar players of all time. However, this is a little bit too much 80s for me. The synth is nonstop, it's insane, and it kind of takes over most of everything else. It's kind of what you expect out of an 80s pop record. No diss to Prince, though, his vocals are fantastic and he delivers a decent performance. Not my favorite Prince, though. I would go 6 out of 10 personally, which honestly, I think Alan Parsons got a 6.5, so naturally I just have to put Prince there. But honestly, I feel like these two are interchangeable. You could go either way here. Um, I feel that the songs here were more impactful, but I feel that Prince was just more exciting. A lot of this album was very boring to me, but this was never boring. It was just super long, which I guess kind of made it boring, but whatever. All right, next we have probably the most shocking review of the list. We have Stick Season by Noah Khan, which everybody seems to love this guy. Um, like this is the country that I don't like. um, I don't know. I don't even know if you call it country. I don't know what you call Noah Khan, to be honest. Um, but let's look up the. Let me pull up the record real quick. Northern Attitude was fine. Orange Juice was probably my favorite song on the record. Strawberry Wine was decent. Homesick, I really liked Homesick. Homesick's probably my favorite. But the rest of it, eh, like I just felt the whole time. Like it doesn't really do anything for me. To me, his voice is decent. You give the guy an acoustic guitar, he'll create magic. But it's not magical for me. And it didn't really touch me in a way that I hoped it would. It didn't really do much for me in terms of like his emotions or what he was feeling. It feels kind of like the Leslie Odom record, honestly. Um, just maybe a little bit more impactful for me, I guess. It's not for me, but I don't want to discredit his talent. I love some of the guitar and his vocals, or I love some of the guitar riffs and just playing in general. And I love his voice. It's pretty decent overall. I really do like some of the songs. I think he captures a very family value style with a lot of these songs, and it felt a lot like the purpose was to reminisce about the past, which again I do think is very important. But I don't know, I didn't catch it as much with this as I would say with Jimmy Buffett. Um, it's an album of remembrance, but also with the future and moving on from the past. I feel instrumentally it's somewhat effective, but relatively simple, which holds it back a lot. And overall, I'd say more songs. I'd say most of them, like I'd say like slightly above half the songs land for me than don't. Um, but again, this is my personal opinion. I do understand why he's a very popular artist. He's very talented. He sings pretty emotional songs, and he sings very relatable stuff that I think a lot of people can understand and place a finger on. So this is kind of why I'd give Noah Khan a 5.5 out of 10. I know I'm evil, but that's just how I feel, man. It's not it's definitely better than the Odom record in my opinion, but it doesn't capture me the way that I feel like it should. And because of that, it's getting a lower rating. Um, and honestly, I feel guilty about it, but it's the way it is. It's just how I feel. Um, next we have Art Pop by Lady Gaga. And this Jesus Christ, I don't even know what to say about Art Pop, dude. I've never listened to a full length Gaga record, but I'm kind of glad I did because this was so much fun. It really was. It's such a funny record. Oh my god. Ah, god. All right, let me pull up the message that I left about Art Pop. Where was Art Pop? All right. It was fun. It was really really fun. Um, Jewels and Drugs, fantastic song. Swine was so fun. Donatella's great. Applause is probably my favorite song on the record. Sex Dreams was decent. Mary Jane Holland was decent. Fashion. It's a 55-minute 14 song record, and it's Gaga. It's Lady Gaga. It's what you expect. I mean, she had the world by storm. She had the world she had taken the world by storm in the 2010s and 2000s, right? And I think it's not more apparent than here. I really do like as I grow older. I have a much deeper and profound respect for the girly pop of the 2010s. Like I love Katy Perry. I think Katy Perry is so much fun. And the same thing's kind of happening with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is really talented, which is something I've never disputed. I might dispute some of her outfit choices, but her voice is incredible. She can do like any style of music. Like I remember I used to watch the Howard Stern show or listen to the Howard Stern show, and she played with Metallica on the Howard Stern show. They did a cover of I think Nothing Else Matters with her as the vocalist, and just James like kind of switching, James Hetfield kind of switching on and off with her, which was really impressive. She was in that movie A Star Was Born, like the fourth remake with Bradley Cooper, and that song "Shallow" I got really sick and tired of, but her part in that song I think is phenomenal. Just her vocal range is just so amazing to me, and I like the way that she chose to use her talent. She chose to be really, really fun and produce some of the most fun beats imaginable. Like even the song Abracadabra, which is really new, is just so fun. And Bad Romance is such a great song. I love that song. It's so perfect. Like it's just come on, man. Like how can you hate on Lady Gaga, right? Anyway, there were definitely some highs and lows with this record. I think the album cover is hilarious. Jewels and Drugs, great song. My favorite's Applause, though. And I could go on and on about this record, but I feel like most people are kind of familiar with Lady Gaga's style of music and the way that she sounds and how she acts, um, and just her persona in general. And I feel like this album is very happy-go-lucky and also very like um, not political, but what's the word? I don't know. She's kind of making fun of men a little bit, which is kind of it's kind of funny though the way that she does it, and I do like it. I do think it's a great record, and um, I haven't listened to the Fame or the Fame Monster or Mayhem or Chromatica or Born This Way, which Jesus God, her album, her face, she's funny. I really do like Lady Gaga. I think she's hilarious. And this record was good. I enjoyed it very much. Other things I had to say about it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but what a banger. Like, I kind of see why Lady Gaga is so universally loved now. The beats are enchanting, full of energy, funk, or genuine emotion. It makes you want to dance, truthfully. Her vocals are fantastic, and even in the songs that are more mellowed out and slow, she carries the songs with her ridiculous vocal talent. Truthfully, a great listening experience, although some of the songs were subject matter. Okay, I think I meant to say I wasn't too interested in some of the subject matter. But overall, that's my only real complaint. Um, Yeah, overall, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, which I think is very, very not generous, but very, very accurate. I mean, it's a great record, does a lot of things right, and I really do like some of the songs here. Now, is it better than Crowbar? This is just such a weird comparison. Like, I had more fun with this for sure. Is it better than? Oh God, I don't know. For now, I'll just put it here. This is a comparison you can't really make, but it was a fun record. It was very, very fun. Next, we have Crowded House, self-titled, which was the very first album I listened to in this project. And I am familiar with Crowded House a little bit. My mom likes Crowded House a lot. They have this one song, which is on this album called Don't Dream It's Over, which is their best song. It's not close. I love that song to death. It's really, really good and is my favorite standout and is the best part of this album. Now We're Getting Somewhere's good. Can't Carry On's good. Hole in the River's a decent song. Um, there's some other songs in here though that I just didn't vibe with. Like they felt too cheesy, too 80s, you know. Um, but you're bound to get that occasionally. Um, some decent vocal performances. I mean, it's a classic like 80s kind of pop rockish record. It's not super super different from what you'd normally expect out of this kind of period of history, but it is entertaining, and some of it is really emotional. And I do think "Don't Dream It's Over" is their best song, and I think most people would agree with that. It's so fantastic. Um, and they do use a lot of synth, which again was my biggest problem with the Prince record. But they don't overbear with the. It's not too overbearing with the synth. It's just right. Um, and for that reason, I gave it a 6.5. I mean, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. I mean, I'm definitely not into the 80s synth and pop style as I used to be, but the appreciation is still there. This record has an incredible front half, a slower middle, and a fantastic finish. It's complete with a wider range of arrangement of instrumental moments and some limited yet satisfying vocal performances. So overall, it's mostly instruments that kind of carry it, but it does have some fun vocals sprinkled in. A lot of them are very cheesy, except for "Don't Dream It's Over." "Don't Dream It's Over" is a perfect song from start to finish. I would highly recommend listening to it if you haven't already. I gave it a 6.5. So that's going to funnel in I'd say a, I'd say above the Avenged Sevenfold record and probably behind the Joey Badass record, which I think is fair. I think I gave this a 7 anyway, so. Or no, I gave this a 6.5. Anyway, that's good. We're getting to the end, so I'm going to try to kind of speed through it a little bit. I am getting really tired, I'm sorry, but we got 5 more to go through. Next, we have The Strokes, the new Abnormal, which I was not a big fan of. This record was like the perfect mid album to me. Like, it was kind of boring. There was a few fun vocal performances. I'm not even going to go through the songs because there weren't really any standouts to me. They were all kind of just like very similar and all very mediocre, I would say. I hate to be that guy, but that's just how I felt. Overall, though, I mean, it's a decent record. I can kind of in terms of like the public perspective, I guess I can see why the Strokes are popular. But the vocals are just really not for me. The guy is so high pitched and almost preachy in a way, and I don't like it. He almost sounds castrated. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just I just personally don't like it. And I'm not impressed with any of the guitar work or any of the real instrumentation here. Everything to me just sounded very average. What else did I have to say about it? It wasn't it wasn't an abhorrent listening experience, but it didn't knock me out of the park. I enjoyed the first couple songs, but it sadly wasn't as solid in the back half. The vocals were impressive, or somewhat impressive, and very mellow, but a lot of the times they did get a little bit ridiculous and whiny and preachy. To be honest, mellow is the kind of word that comes to mind after listening to this record, which is not exactly what I was hoping for or expecting. But that doesn't really take away from it. I just didn't really enjoy it very much. It's definitely a not for me kind of album. And I'd probably put it above the Dead Poet Society record because, to be honest, with this record, I can't remember any of it. Like I didn't like Georgia. I think is the only real song I remember, and then this one's got a few songs. I don't remember the titles, but I remember how I felt, and I remember feeling decent. So you're gonna stay right there. Next, we got Songs About You specifically by Michelle, which was one of the first songs I listened to, or first albums I listened to, and it's a decent record. It's fun. It's only 11 songs, 31 minutes. It's pretty short, but it's got some fun songs. Mentos and Coke, pretty solid opener. Akira, I liked that song a lot. Kathy, I liked a lot. Noah, honestly, the ones with the names. Painkiller, not to be confused with the Judas Priest Painkiller that was covered by Death, but just the song Painkiller. Fun song. And Trackstar's a good closer. Overall, it was a very, very fun album. I liked how emotional it felt. I liked the way it made me feel just in general and how introspective it made me feel. It made me think a lot about life in general and kind of just my personal experiences. And I think that's good. Anytime an album does that to you, it should be a pretty solid record, and the ranking you give it should be pretty good. Um, so let me find where I put you. Where did you go? Yeah, okay, so short and sweet, and everything you could really want in a project such as this. Lots of synth and soothing background instruments that give the album an almost ethereal feeling to it. It's not super complicated lyrically, but this is a good thing as I feel that to, the vocals and lyrics match and go well with the vibe. If I had to describe this record, I'd probably say something you'd want to listen to if you want to relax, if you want to cheer up, or if you're just really horny. Like, I'm sorry, but that's the vibe it gave. A lot of it felt like um, reflective about your ex-girlfriend or something like that, or maybe introspective about how much you love your current girlfriend or how much you want to be with her. So yeah, we'll go third place, I guess, for album to play to have sex to. Obviously, second is Slow Rush, and first is Let's Get It On. But third would be Michelle's Songs About You specifically. And obviously, even with the title and the different songs, I mean, you can clearly tell it's a very emotional record about like a relationship that somebody got into or something like that. It's a great record. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 7 out of 10, I believe, which is just going to put it. Honestly, I'd probably put it above the Alameda record as my favorite of this bunch. So we'll probably go right there. Um, Again, I really like her talent. I like pop punk. I like post punk. I like punk in general. But I think this is not as adept at conveying emotions and feelings as these individuals were. So we're gonna go here with that one. Next is Luffy or Luffy. I can never pronounce her name. Bewitched. And another album that was just not for me at all. I'm sorry, but it didn't feel like, I don't know. It felt like something I was just not expecting almost. When I knew about, like, when I learned about her, I did not expect this. This is not the type of music I was expecting from her. I was expecting more like poppy and more like happy, and instead I got like interesting instrumentation that I can't really put my finger on, and almost like acoustics that sound kind of weird, at least in my opinion. But yeah, more about the album. I said it's just so sad, very very melodic and slow, but it's filled with a feeling of both emptiness and glee. It's hard for me to really put into words how I feel about this record. It's emotional and deep, and I really probably do need to listen to it a second time. It's very dependent on the individual's feelings and actions. And for me personally, it just didn't fit the mold of what I was hoping for. I gave it a 5.5 out of 10. I know that's very upsetting for most people, probably. Um, I will give it the benefit of the doubt, though. Let me pull up just like some of the standouts. I mean, From the Start obviously is our most popular song, but it's really good. I can't believe it has a billion streams. I can't believe this is so popular, to be honest. Second Best was pretty good. While You Were Sleeping was pretty good. Love Sick is good. Um, Overall, it's got its fair share of really good songs, but for me, it's not like anything special, and it's not something I intend on really going back to anytime soon. But it does need a second listen because I feel like I just was not ready for it, and I feel like it captured me by surprise. But still, really good. I'm sure for most people, just not me. And I would highly recommend it because I mean I know a lot of people like Lafe or Luffy or Luffy. Like, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry for butchering it, but 5.5 would put you. Where do I put you? Honestly, probably below Leslie Odom. It's close though. All right, next we have Three by Crystal Castles. Now, Crystal Castles is just not for me at all. I'm sorry, but it was interesting. It was a lot of beats and melodies and no lyrics at all, and just I think you're supposed to feel a certain way. I feel like it's very psychedelic. Like the standout song for me is probably the one called Transgender, which is, I can't describe it to you, but I guarantee you've heard it in like an Instagram or TikTok edit somewhere about like some scary haunting thing. Um, Overall, the record was very average. I think I didn't like it too much. Lots of sounds, lots of different sounds throughout that make for an album that I feel could be used in many different ways. There's a lot of rave style music, but there's also mystery and sadness. It's quite versatile for only being about half an hour. It's really just not something that stuck with me, but I still enjoyed like some of the songs, again like Transgender, which is really the only song without looking them up that I could remember off the top of my head. Um, I'd say it's worth a listen if you're into this kind of style. I gave it a 5 out of 10 personally. It's not really for me, but I think it's something that you would enjoy if you're kind of into like instrumental music and just eerie vibes and stuff like that. I would probably put it behind Cardi. And now that I think about it, honestly, I'd probably put this behind Cardi too. Um, God, you know what? I'd probably put this behind Cardi. I didn't hate this Cardi record at all. I gave it a 5, but I don't have visible disdain for this. Whereas like the Strokes record, the Dead Poet Society record, and the Crystal Castles record are all records that I just did not like very much at all. There were some moments that are keeping it out of the dislike section, but uh I don't know, man. Like Cardi, at least like I enjoyed. So Cardi, you're gonna stay up here. Cardi's the best of the worst, if that makes any sense. All right, now we are at our last record, Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party, featuring Hayley Williams, the lead singer for Paramore, who is one of probably my favorite female vocalists of all time. I'm a big No Doubt fan also, so I do like Gwen Stefani. There's some other, there's some others. I mean, I really do like Lauryn Hill. Um, Again, this is bouncing around like 50 million different genres, but Hayley Williams has always been one of my favorites. I mean, Paramore is a great band. Paramore's obviously got so many great songs, and Hayley Williams is very talented. Um, I think probably some of her best songs on this record. Ice in My OJ was decent. Kill Me, I thought was great. Disappearing Man, Love Me Different, Brotherly Hate. True Believer's not a bad song. Parachute was good. Showbiz isn't bad. I do feel it's a. I do feel like I feel like under the cloak that this album kind of shows, there is a deep political message or something, or she's saying something. There's some message to be had here about like how she feels about being maybe like left out of the spotlight, or how she feels just about like I think women in general and misrepresentation. I feel like it's hard to catch on what the first listen, and I feel like it does warrant a second listen just to kind of catch that. Um, but overall, it's a fun record. I mean, she does her voice is fantastic throughout, and I think the instruments aren't too incredible or too exciting, but what they are is entertaining, and it mixes well with her vocal style, which is mostly sad and melancholic throughout this thing. But there are some highlights or some high moments. Um, at some points she like tonal shifts from after the first half and becomes almost happy, and I do like the change of pace because it does kind of show her versatility. And of course I'm glazing Haley Williams a little bit, and maybe because of that glaze I'm giving this record a better rating than it deserves. Call me out for that if you like, but I do think it's worth a listen, and I do think it's something I would go back to. And honestly, for her newest project, I feel like it's pretty solid, and she's showing that she still got it. So overall, I think Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party, although I hate the name of the album, I think it's so stupid, is very fun, and it does convey a lot of deep emotions, and I do think there's a there's a complexity to it that I haven't yet figured out. But yeah, I mean, I would go 7.5 out of 10. Um, Probably above. I'd probably say I liked it a bit better than the Crowbar record, honestly. Um, on it, and I would put Art Pop. I don't think. Here's what we're gonna do. Art Pop's gonna go above Haley Williams. Haley Williams is gonna go above Crowbar. Okay, there we go. That okay. Here's the final list. This is the final album list. This is the definitive list. Let's go in order, I guess. So hold on. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 12, 12, 24, 5, 34. So 34 albums. All right. So to cap it all off, let's go in order from my least favorite to favorite. Last place, 34th place, Ethel Cain, Preacher's Daughter. Again, didn't do anything for me. I like the concept of the album. I just don't like her performance or the instruments or really just the style in general. I like her ideas and I like her vocals changes, but I don't like anything else. 33rd place, we got 3 by Crystal Castles. Not for me, very eerie, a few standouts, but again, just hard to really grasp for me, and something I just don't think I would enjoy a lot. Maybe if I was trying like mushrooms or something, I would listen to it, or like if I was really just interested in going on some sort of mystical journey and I needed some sort of lyricless music, maybe, but not for me. 32nd place, we've got Dead Poet Society exclamation mark. Just did not hit for me in the slightest. A couple songs like Georgia, for example, I liked that song, but the rest of it just didn't really feel important at all to me or something I could really enjoy. 31st place, we've got The Strokes, The New Abnormal, which is just not something I really enjoyed. I mean, the front half was decent, the back half was terrible, and overall it created like a very mid album. I think the vocals were okay for the most part, but some of them were just very, lackluster. 30th place, we've got Die Lit by Cardi. Again, I'm honestly surprised with this record. I thought it was probably going to be in last place, but I think a 5 out of 10 for me for Cardi is very just surprising, especially if you know who you are, who recommended this album to me. I liked a good portion of this album. I'd say it's a strong 5, um, stronger than the previous 3 for sure. And I'd say that strong 5 kind of encapsulates my feelings on Opium in general. I mean, I don't know how much I feel about the record label, but I feel like this is the best they're really going to get from me. 29th was Lafe or Lufe or how you pronounce it. Just didn't really like the genre of music or really her style. I mean, there's a few standouts, but overall, not for me. Same story with both 28th and 27th place, Leslie Odom's Mr. and Noah Kahn Stick Season. You can clearly tell that these are albums that have a lot of effort thrown into them and a lot of care and love, but just not something that I really am interested in terms of just the messaging, even though they do have a few bangers on there. The Princess 1999 is 26th, I think. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, this would be 26th. Too much synth for me, but still a lot of bangers, a lot of classics on there, like Delirious in 1999. 25th is Alan Parsons Project. A little bit more exciting than 1999, or a little bit more boring than 1999. You could again flip flop these, and I'd have no problem with it. But it does have a few songs that I think I like a little bit better. Maybe "Eye in the Sky" and "Serious," just for in general, just the song. I guess I don't know. 24th will be A7X, "Awaken the Fallen." Some basic riffs. I like some of them. Overall, a decent record. They have some good songs on here, but I didn't like a lot of it. I thought it was kind of average. I think a 6.5 is a pretty good ranking for it. It's above average, not average, but I like more songs than I dislike. Same story with Crowded House, which gave it a 6.5. It's got that one really, really banger song on it, Don't Dream It's Over. It's got a few others that are worth a listen. Overall, though, it's kind of basic with its instrumentation, and I do think the vocals can be a little cheesy at times. 6, 5, 4, 3. This is 22nd, I think. Sorry, I keep losing my place. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Yeah. It's okay. Joey Badass, 1999, 22nd place. Again, I feel like this record's probably better for me than I'm giving it credit for. 6.5 out of 10. I do like a lot of the songs. I do like his style. I like the messaging, and I like the features. I also like the beats on a lot of these songs. And I think the line like right here between A7X and Alan Parsons Project is where you get to like albums that I really actually enjoyed. Everything between these two lines, like this and behind, is kind of just like stuff that was like for me. And then everything forward is like, okay, I kind of enjoyed this. 21st place is this Joey Valance and Bray record, Hyper Youth. Crazy energy, really fun. Kind of the music you'd listen to if you go to a rave, I guess. Same story with our 20th spot, which is Revenge Seekers by Jane Remover. I thought this was a little bit more well done than this. It tells a little bit of the story. I do like the sounds, and the beat drop on that one song did wonders for this record for me. 19th place is Alameda's FK It. Uh, EP, very pop punk, very fun. Not for everybody, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And at 18th place, rounding out the decent category, is Songs About You Specifically by Michelle. Very emotional. I like the melody, or I like the melodies and chords. I also like how mellow it is in general, and I like the switch up on a lot of the songs. Um, okay, so that was 12 plus 5, 17. There was 34 total. Sorry, I keep losing my spot. I think this is 17th place. 17th place, we've got Oddfellows Rest by Crowbar. Very fun, very entertaining, very disgusting and sludgy and doomy and gross, and everything you'd kind of want out of an album that's kind of like that, and kind of willing to do things that are gross and not exactly, expected, I suppose you could say. Um, Next, we've got in 16th place, we've got Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party by Haley Williams. Again, fun. I do like some of her messaging, although I do think there's a complex message I'm missing here. She's very vocally talented. I love her. I love some of the lyrics here. Some of the standout songs feel very emotional and personal, and I really think that adds a lot to it. Uh, in 15th place, we've got Art Pop by not Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, which was just fun throughout. I love her vocals. I love the fun instrumentals, and I think Lady Gaga is someone to very much be appreciated. There are some great standouts on this song. Again, Applause being my favorite. 14th place, we've got Amoroso by João Gilberto. Can't understand what the man is saying, but you can understand what he's feeling, and that is what makes this record so special. Just the power of feeling makes it so much fun. It just feels happy, and happiness is kind of what we need in the world right now. 13th place is B by Common. Feels like a Kanye West record, plays out like a Kanye West record. Very exciting, very faithful, and very important. And I think it's a record that a lot of people are sleeping on, or just don't really know about, or don't hear about very often. It's fun, and I think it's very enjoyable, and it's something that a lot of people would get a kick out of. 12th place, we've got The Slow Rush by Tame Impala. Um, Very psychedelic. Um, very good sex music. What else is there to say? 11th place, we've got Random Access Memories by Daft Punk. Again, a lot of bangers here. These guys never really miss. I mean, they also got some great features here, especially with Pharrell Williams or Pharrell, how you pronounce it. And I think it makes for a fun listening experience, a fun electro EDM, electro pop experience um, that a lot of people would enjoy. All right, getting to the top 10 now. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Yeah. Top 10. 10th place, we've got Thriller by Michael Jackson. What can you say? It's a classic record from one of the greatest pop artists of all time. It's got so many bangers on it. Really no issues with it. Very vocally important and maybe less instrumentally important, which is why in ninth place I have his another one of his albums, Off the Wall, which I think is slightly better than Thriller, but depending on the day you could probably switch the two of them. Off the Wall is more instrumentally favored and less vocally important, I think, and I like a lot of the songs on Off the Wall, whereas Thriller I like the highlights, but I think Off the Wall I like honestly mostly the whole thing. Eighth place, I've got Igor by Tyler, the Creator. I think a lot of the messaging here is very special. I do think that I think the closer does a lot of good for this, the last two songs. I like Tyler's vocals. I like that it's not overly silly while still maintaining kind of a silly idea. And yet it's mostly serious and it's mostly loving. And I think that says a lot about Tyler and his um, just versatility as an artist. And I really liked it. So eighth place goes to Igor. Seventh place, An Evening with Silk Sonic by Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. Just a fun, funky, poppy record. Exactly what you'd expect, probably out of this pairing, and it's exactly what you want. Probably a timeless record eventually, something that I think you could listen to for days, honestly. It's so much fun, and I really like a lot of the performances on this thing. Uh, I'm realizing that I am not right with the rankings. The top 10 no, this was 10. Okay. So six, no, that was 7. Okay, perfect. We're doing it right. Sixth place is Late Registration by Kanye West. Timeless, obviously. One of the most important, influential hip hop rap albums of the 2000s. Influenced a lot of artists that we have today. A lot of great features on this record that I think are timeless. A lot of songs that will stand the test of time. For instance, Touch the Sky, We Major, two that instantly come to mind for me at least. Very political in terms of just like I think his experience growing up as a black man, and I think just in general his experience being the underdog. Great record by an incredible artist who has unfortunately fallen off a cliff as of late. All right, now we got our top 5, all 9 out of 10. I didn't give a 10 out of 10 to anything. I'm sorry. Um, fifth place, we've got In Transit by the Killins, I think it's pronounced. Soft rock perfection. Honestly, it's a great EP. It's very short, but the six songs that are on this thing, all of them have something to offer. All of them are very vocally impressive and instrumentally have some incredible guitar solos that I think blow you away. Fourth place, we have Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. Perfect sex record. Perfect sex record. Marvin Gaye's ability, again, to portray emotions and feelings and soul and just his way to encapsulate the human experience, I think, is some of the most powerful among the music industry, and it's why I think everything he does is honestly so encapsulating and something that should be appreciated by everyone who listens to it. Top 3, third place, we've got Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, featuring John Coltrane. 5 songs, 45 minutes. It's just a big 45-minute conversation. I know I've used that word a lot, but it truly is just a conversation between all the jazz instruments, which you can interpret in your own way, and I think it's very special for that reason. I love it personally. I think it's fantastic, and there's really no flaws with it. And it just goes to show the power of jazz and how important it is to the music industries to this day. Second place, we have Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. Just a constant stream of pure emotion, vocal talent, um, just everything that this guy feels he's poured into this record, and I think it's very special for that reason. And the fact that there is a record that most people consider is better, or that is better, that I haven't listened to by the same guy is insane to think about, and I'm excited to listen to it at some point. Channel Orange is phenomenal, just like in every performance, in my opinion. And then first place for me, probably disappointing for a lot of people, but for me, I love it. Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitude by Jimmy Buffett. This record is phenomenal. Reminds me of home, reminds me of my childhood, reminds me of the good old days, and has some of the best of Jimmy Buffett, probably his best record. So you're taking an artist that I really, really love and appreciate, and you're giving me his best record. Of course, I'm going to rank it highly, and in this case, it is my favorite. If you don't like country or his style of country, I would recommend checking him out. Just maybe because it might change your mind, or change your opinion, and maybe you'll find out you do love country. You just didn't think it was what you thought it was. So yeah, that is the list 1 through 34. Obviously, I mean we have Jane Remover twice on here, so this is why this is not here. It's already right here. Um, yeah, that is the list. I really hope you enjoyed. This took a lot of effort to make. Um, this took a lot of effort to make. It took me a month or two, I think, to listen to all the albums. And I really did have a good time. It was fun to do. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I know this is going to be a really long video. I'm not going to really edit it at all. There's no reason to. Aside from like cutting between like the moments when I'm scrolling on my phone looking for extra notes that I have about the albums, but I really hope you guys enjoyed. I think I did a pretty good job of doing your recommendations justice. I think that for the most part I enjoyed all of them except for maybe like 3 or 4 records. Probably only 3, honestly. I found joy in most of these, and I'm really happy that I did, because it just goes to show that music is, it's special. And even if it's not the genre that you like, you can still find joy in it. You can still find meaning. You can still find enjoyment and hope. And I think I found that with pretty much every single one of these records. And I hope that all of you go and pursue your own records, and listen to other things that you wouldn't normally listen to. In fact, let me close it out by giving a few examples. I know I said I was going to put it on the list, but I don't think I have the time for that or the editing skills for that. So let me just pull up some of the albums that I have been listening to recently, just to give you some examples of things that you might be interested in, or things that I listen to. So let me go to my Spotify. Um, Recently, I listened to the Sugar Hill Gang self-titled, um, mostly for a project for school, but the Sugar Hill Gang is timeless. I mean, it's mostly like soul and blues, but there's some rap mixed in. They influence the rap genre like in a huge, humongous way. When you think of classic '80s rap, you probably think of like Biggie or Tupac, but the Sugar Hill Gang really should be in that conversation. They are extremely important to the rap game. Other albums I listened to that you might take interest in. I listened to Steal This Album. It's a System of a Down album. It's really fun. If you like really goofy metal music, they're your band. I would go with them. Um, You Prefer an Astronaut by Hum. This was recommended to me by a friend. I appreciated it. If you're a big Deftones fan, I feel like you'll get a kick out of this record. It's not really for me. I didn't like the vocals too much, but I think there's a lot to take away here, and I do think it has a lot to say. Um, there's one song on this album that is really special, and I can't remember the name of it. Uh, God, I can't remember the name of it. I don't think it's Suicide Machine. I'm not sure, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I've also listened to The Battle of Los Angeles by Rage Against the Machine recently. If you're into more metal sounding, funky metal, and you like to hate the government, or if you're just like really left wing, then Rage is for you. So I would give it a listen. It's fun. They're some of my favorite songs. Guerrilla Radio, Testify, both great songs. But obviously, if you're going to listen to Rage, I would recommend the self-titled album. I have a Rage poster right here. It's flawless. It's perfect. Everything you'd want in an artist that is giving everything that they have to give. I've also listened to Hot Rats by Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa is definitely not for everybody. Very instrumental, very long songs. Very weird for a lot of people, but I think very, very incredible. And one of the most influential members of just rock, and just one of the most influential people in general when it comes to rock music, and honestly just music in general, because of how special he was. I have also listened to From Mars to Sirius by Gojira. Obviously, you can tell I'm a big metal fan. I'm trying to get more into like progressive metal, I guess. I don't know if it's really progressive, but I'm trying to, expand my palette. So that's just another example. And I'll give you one more example of an album I've listened to recently. Um, let's find a good one. Oh yeah, I listened to the album Goo by Sonic Youth. That's more of it's like a '90s alternative record. It's very good. I like it. It's kind of like Rage in the way where it makes you feel almost like you want to stand up and fight for something. I mean, the one song, their most popular song is called "Cool Thing," and it's pretty apparent that it's about like standing up for women's rights and fear of a female planet. I think is one of the lines in the song. It's a great album though. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. So I hope you feel the same way. Maybe you guys will check out some of those records. Maybe not. I want to thank you for the 34 people that recommended an album to me, and I'm sorry it took so long to get this out, but I'm a very busy man, and I hope that you enjoy this video. I will get it posted as soon as possible. It is going to be a long watch. It's 2.5 hours, but I'll do like a little chapters or whatever in between like every album, so everybody knows like this is the album that you want to get to, so you can see what your ranking was. But anyway, I want to thank everybody so much for watching. I appreciate your taking your time out of your day to watch this long, long video. Um, have a good rest of your day, evening, night, whatever time it is for you. And yeah, I hope to do more projects like this in the future. Be sure to follow my Instagram if you want to do these projects. Literally, just take my name on the YouTube channel. It's Vincent the Mediocre, and I should pop right up. And follow my letterbox if you want. I know we talked about La La Land for a second there. Just look up Vincent Mediocre on La La or on letterbox, and there I will. I'll show up. So yeah, hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.